Well, now, folks, this one's for everybody who's been overlooked. We the people built this land, and don't you forget it. This here ain't a hymn asking nicely. It's a promise. Remember us so you'll feel our weight. Let's make some noise. There's prayer in our pockets and grit in our hands. We ain't asking permission to love these lands. Don't you write us off, don't sell us cheap. We keep watch while the city sleeps. We the people, under God we trust. Stand together, fighting if we must. Them suits in D.C. do what they must. Remember you work for us. We the people. You pass your laws in smoke-filled halls at night, but the ballots talk come the morning light. Don't mistake our patience for a quiet crowd. We carry the power, we speak it loud. We the people, under God we trust. Stand together, fighting if we must. Them suits in D.C. do what they must. Remember you work for us. We the people. Don't forget the farmer feeding every town. Don't forget the worker keeping lights on round. We buy, we vote, we stand in lines. Cross us and you'll see those warning signs. We the people, under God we trust. Stand together, fighting if we must. Them suits in D.C. do what they must. Remember you work for us. We the people. We the people, under God we trust. Stand together, fighting if we must. Them suits in D.C. do what they must, but remember you work for us. We the people. That's Uncle Sam's Blues. Proud and free if you're with us. Let your voice be heard. Drop a comment telling where you're listening from. Hit like and subscribe.
Hit like and describe. Do it. Just do it. Can't hear you, Bonnie, if you're there. Now I hear you. It should have been me, I guess. Let me see chat.
No, it wouldn't unmute me.
Oh, okay.
Did they take me down because of that song? I don't know.
No, but that was a great song.
I found it and I was like, oh, this is a good one. Oh, it's good to see all of y'all. It's good to see you, Dee. Thank you for coming up.
Thank you for having me. Good to see you all in chat. Much love, everybody.
We see who we have. Garrett, Doc P. Doc P, from what I understand, he's taking a break. Good to see y'all. Carolina, Cheryl,
Carolina, Echo. My
Bella,
girls are in the
Vanilla,
house. All right.
Anthony.
Is Lauren P here though? Need
Um,
Lauren.
um,
Here.
hey, Vicky, good to see you. Ridge Runner, Terry, Be Charming,
I love you,
Echo,
Lauren P.
Larry, good to see y'all.
Ricky, present. Oh, brother. Good to see
Oh my
you.
goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Mary.
Could be trouble tonight, you know. He's kind of a troublemaker. Prides himself in that as well.
Good to see you, Ricky.
As I do.
Okay, I have a scripture that goes with this also
Great.
that we'll start with. Let me see. Why'd you go back up? Okay, this is 1 Corinthians 1:10. I appeal to you, brothers and sisters, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that all of you agree with one another in what you say, and that there be no divisions among you, but that you be perfectly united in mind and thought.
Wow. But that could be so.
Hey, Sean, good to see you.
Well, there you are. Is that the Sean? Is that the Sean?
Yes.
What's he doing in chat? I thought he was coming up here.
Well, he's asking if 58% power will make it through
Oh my
tonight.
gosh. Okay.
We're gonna pray it does.
Better. Yeah, we'll pray it does. God willing.
So, guess we'll just get started. Tonight we're on the Ninth Amendment, and this is how it is presented. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. So I asked Google, and they give a pretty good assessment of it, actually.
Okay.
The Ninth Amendment. It's been a long weekend, y'all. The Ninth Amendment means that the rights listed in the Constitution are not the only rights the American people have. Essentially, the government can take away other fundamental rights just because they aren't specifically written down. When the Bill of Rights was being drafted, some worried that by specifically listing certain rights, future governments might assume they had the power to violate any rights that weren't on the list. James Madison proposed the Ninth Amendment to prevent this, ensuring that the listing of certain rights would not be used to deny or disparage others retained by the people. Because the amendment does not list these other rights, they are referred to as unenumerated rights. While their precise scope is debated, some examples that have been recognized by courts or cited by legal scholars include the right to privacy, the right to travel, the right to vote, the right to marry, the right to make important decisions about one's own body and healthcare. Imagine that.
That seems like that was thrown in there at the end.
Maybe, but still, we should have the right to
It doesn't
decide.
matter. That's a Google. That's not something that was in the original. That's their translation of it.
Yes,
I do not think it says anything about our bodies in the Constitution, but we do get the. It shouldn't have to be spelled out. But
yes.
I
But
know.
that's the thing. When you're self-governing, you are deciding what is best for self, along
life,
with
life,
others.
liberty. Right.
Yes,
But you can't, as long as you're not fringing on others, that's where our liberty
yes,
ends, is when we
yes,
encroach upon someone else's uh, rights or
absolutely.
life. Yeah. Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
Sean, hit that StreamYard. And Ricky, if you would like to come up, let me know.
Carolina and Ricky, Sean, that's all I see in the chat there. But
Yes, and it looks like we're still live, so we're okay.
no, you was worried about that song. Was that not a cover?
No,
Mm-hmm. Who
Katie, good to see you.
whose song is that?
That is oh, Uncle Sam's Blues, and he has a whole list of songs. I can put the link, and y'all can check him out if you want to. I thought that it was probably AI made, but so that's why I thought it would be safe. But
Let's
yeah,
show Miss Ken Carson's music.
yeah,
He had some good music. He had some good music. Very
he did.
patriotic,
Yes.
very good beats, good melodies. Never even thought it was AI for a second. Because he plays all those instruments, doesn't he? Didn't he have a video where he was like showing he was playing all those instruments, and then he cuts the track and combines it together? That's pretty good.
Oh, I don't know, but that's him. Uncle Sam's Blues. Be Charming knows him, it seems.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's a good song for sure. We need more like it.
Hey, Daniel, good to see you.
Cola.
Hey, Cola. Shit, every time I see drinking rum and Coca-Cola,
Every time you see who?
every time I see cola, that song just pops in my
Rum and Coca-Cola.
music
Oh, that
Tourette's
song?
thing.
What's that song? Yeah. I don't need it. I don't even want to know, actually. Forget it. Never mind. It's like, Margaritaville. No.
What?
So later, our surprise guest is coming on, right?
I think so.
But it's still Constitution night.
Yes.
So are we going to get to do the quiz again today or not? Maybe not. Well, we'll see if Sean makes it.
Yeah, and I can't find another quiz.
Oh.
I went through that whole site with the oh my goodness. what it was before the Constitution. It was the
Oh.
mm. Okay, my memory's horrible, y'all. Uh,
Yeah, it sure
so
is.
I'll tell y'all. We went to the coast for the um, to have the family all together for my daughter's birthday, and um, got a nice tan going, and it was exhausting, but it was great. It was so good to be with family, and no more vacations for you. Now, Cheryl, you won't go that far. Um, it was so awesome to just sit out there on the deck and hear the waves coming in. Thank you, Articles of Confederation. Yes, be charming. And um, everybody, we did some fishing. Of course, they hit the shops. I'm sure everybody spent way too much money, and um, but yeah,
Sounds like vacation. Yeah.
yeah.
And you
But
honored Amanda as well. Did you do some balloon drop or something?
we were gonna do the lanterns, but it was so
Yeah.
windy that
Oh,
I was afraid that it would blow into a home or trees or something. Texas is in fire hazard right now, and because we've been pretty droughtful. Is that what you call it?
I
420, good to
guess.
see you.
Yeah.
Heard you
Or
did an
20.
amazingly long stream. I'm sorry.
I said
And
420.
yep. um, but we had her picture sitting on the table, and we had a candle, and um, so her memory was definitely right there with us. She was
Very
right there.
nice. Very nice. Yeah. That'd have been a
Hello,
hard
Sean.
weekend without your family, right? It was her birthday and everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Good to
glad they
see
were
you,
there for
Sean.
you. Yeah. Hi, Sean.
Hi, is
I'll
my
say,
audio
I'm
okay?
sorry. Wow, you
Yes.
sound better than usual.
Cool. Yeah, the last load disconnected, but I had the YouTube up in its own panel. Maybe that was just, interfering, whichever.
Sounds good. Appreciate you coming up.
Yeah, I'm going to try not to have my face up on the microphone. So can you hear me from this distance?
Yes.
I hear you.
Great. Great. Yeah, the Ninth Amendment and the quiz, D. I am interested in that. And I'll go somewhere where you reference that Ninth Amendment and what you might call the Google definition. Bonnie, I'd like you to reread that amendment again. I heard you read it there because
Darn it. Reread that amendment again. Okay. Excuse me. I know Sean has a little trouble staying on panel. I'll try and tape him up here the next time.
He really does, doesn't he? Yeah.
I guess I'll wait for him to read it again because I think he wanted to expound on it. Poor Sean. Mm,
Now he's talking about that quiz too. I guess he's talking about the same one you were telling me about earlier today that you wanted me to get out the binder quiz. That one I used to do with that book.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Sean, your camera's on. Do you want it on? Okay.
this raised eyebrow is because of a freaking, disconnects. I mean, every time we're about to say something important. You know, it's like, what? They disconnect us. And yes, I am growing a gray beard, so I am becoming an older scholar of sorts. So just for those who are wondering, I might grow it out, look like Old Man Logan. You know,
There
grow the
you
sideburns and point them up. So, yeah,
Man,
Dee,
look at it.
the quiz I'm interested in, and I'm also interested in, you know, us parsing each word of that amendment, because if you actually parse it, there's some stuff you'll learn as you like block it out in chunks. And so you guys can quit staring at my ugly mug. Yes, I'm a real person. I'm not just. Go ahead and switch back to my logo or icon or whatever.
Okay.
Okay.
The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be.
Let's hold it right there.
Okay.
We all know what enumeration explains, right?
Sure.
They're saying
Numbering. They're
that any
numbering.
right or named, anything they are specifying, you know, it's a fancy word though for naming or numbering. D, you're correct. So right there, they're putting a term on the specification or the naming, numbering of any right. Go ahead.
Okay. Shall not be construed to deny or
Let's stop there.
disparage. Okay.
Let's stop there, right there. Shall not be construed. Construed is just another fancy word for interpreted or to mean. So,
Yes.
you know, root words from the same root word as construction or to build. So they are saying right there, anything they mention shall not be interpreted or to mean. Go ahead.
To deny or disparage others retained by the people.
Let's look at that. To deny or disparage. Disparage is another form of discouraging or degrading. And deny is pretty, you know, that's a pretty self-evident word. So anything they say or name is not to contradict. I'm going to get somewhere where I'm going with this. Let's go to after the disparage again. Pick that up. Sorry if I'm making you repeat it a little bit.
No, you're okay. Others retained by the people.
Okay.
Disparage.
Others retained by the people. Now, keep in mind that Constitution, we know it governs the government, and the Bill of Rights puts further restraints on them. So they, as public servants, they're not the people. Or, you know, if you want to look at it as landowners, okay, maybe when they're not in office, they fall under the people. But we're looking at this.
Yes.
This amendment is not to, again, disparage the rights of other people. Okay, cool. Now, notice the 10th Amendment that'll come up next week or next time is like a cap. It says anything repugnant, you know, I'm kind of going with Marbury versus Madison, but any power is not given to the government or in the Constitution, they don't have. Now, let's take it to this. So they can't mess with our rights that exist outside the Constitution. And then the 10th Amendment will kind of say, I'm kind of getting ahead of us here. 10th Amendment will kind of say the government cannot exceed that Constitution. Just like the First and the Second Amendment have each other's back, ladies and gentlemen, the 9th and 10th Amendment also have each other's back. That's one of their little things in there. They're kind of like wed together. You know, they thought, hey, let's not let them limit the people, and let's make sure the government sticks to what it has to stick to. Now, remember, Dee, you said right to privacy and the body and not an autonomy, right?
No, I didn't think that those words that she read at the end of Google were in the original, something like that.
Where it says the right to make important decisions about one's own body and healthcare.
Correct, correct. Now we could interpret that to COVID, but I'm going to be honest. I asked Grok earlier in prepping for tonight. Hey, when was the Ninth Amendment used in U.S. Supreme Court decisions? And usually, what they do is they bundle it with the first, second, fourth, other amendments. But I noticed like the last two cases or three cases, and I could probably pull this up if it wouldn't kick me off StreamYard for doing it. But Grok notably lists these cases, and I noticed the tail end of the three it cites is Roe versus Wade, which you see, D, you were correct in saying, Google has a leftist take on it. Yes, they do. And I think whoever's at X programming Grok has put that same spin, if you will, into that amendment. What do you guys think?
Yes.
Probably.
Into their description of that amendment.
Yeah. Now, here's the funny part is, there is a right to privacy as long as you're not harming others. The issue with Roe versus Wade is we view it, or at least I view it, as there is an other being harmed, which is the infant, the soul that's in the mother being carried. Now, the other part they said is also the privacy of a marriage. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't think the Ninth Amendment would cover a husband abusing their spouse or another spouse cheating on her husband, vice versa. So again, it's a good amendment, but we can see that between the folks at Google with what D read and what I'm paraphrasing from what I read on Grok earlier tonight, these folks that are in tech, they really, really, really want to jade what the founders meant when they wrote these documents.
Oh yeah.
Yes. And
in fact,
that's the
if you want, Bonnie, I will try not to drop myself off StreamYard. It might happen though. I'll come back on as fast as I can. I'll pull up the quick little AI chat I did with Grok with a prompt, and then you can drop the link or we can drop the link for the people who want to see the thread I gave to Grok. And I only asked it 2 questions, and it gave me those citations.
Yeah, that's fine. If you'd like to do that.
I'm on my phone right now, so dropping links is not that easy for me. I'm sorry. I'm walking around
Okay,
my
I'll
house
do it.
doing chores. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find my book
Okay, I'll do
because I found the binder, but now I lost the book. I had the book 5 minutes ago.
Cool. Well, if it bumps me, I'll be back in like 2 minutes. I'll just refresh it if it bumps me.
Okay, yeah, we'll just hang.
So,
And I may switch over to my computer
Great.
eventually, but right now I'm on this. So,
like one of our friends says, let's bring our loaves and fishes and find more out about this Ninth Amendment.
yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. I think biblically speaking, because so much of it was taken from Scripture, you can see where maybe they're referring to the license. Do you think? Possibly. The mandates and the license, because it says the right to travel, and I'm not sure. It just seems that that's the way it sounded to me. Lauren, good to see you.
There he is.
Yep, there he is.
I feel better now.
I dropped the link in the chat.
Thank you, Sean.
And Garrett, thank you. But I keep trying to grow it out and kind of like stops at about 1 inch, and then my beard just kind of like has a natural curl. So it's not growing out like the vets that kind of get like the Billy Goat look that I want. So, but it's all white, which I want, so I can like be a volunteer Santa for like, charity events. So there we go. Let's see here. So, but I wanted to point out when you guys follow the link, Grok will point out that the Ninth Amendment has never been used for a substantive court decision, though. And further down, it explains that people have said it's a little too vague to be substantive. But I don't know. I think it was, it is pretty specific that, hey, the government can't limit your rights, even, with what's named here, so on and so forth. So I don't get what part of that, people in the government would not understand. But we know they're willingly not understanding it on purpose.
Yes.
I know.
And that's
Go ahead.
funny that you say that, because I saw an interview with Trump and he was being asked if something was constitutional that he was wanting done. And he said, I'm not sure. I'll have to look into it. And I just really feel like if you're going to be in government, you need to go to Hillsdale and take the course, do something so that you do know the Constitution, so that when people are emailing, writing in, or whatever their grievance is, you understand how that works.
Well, if I may,
Right?
half these people are elected because they're like empty suits, or they're like sock puppets. You know what I mean? The lobbyist puts their hand in them and moves their hand, and then they say on TV what they want to hear.
Yes. And it's all
But your point. Go ahead, Bonnie.
all by design. And that's that's how you program the people, using the media, rewording things as you would like them. That's the way it seems to be in DC.
Okay, I found the book.
The apple.
Mm.
Let me hit on a Trump point, and then if I'll yield to you if that's cool.
Yes.
So today we saw Trump was over in Israel addressing their parliament, what have you.
Oh my goodness.
I get on the world stage. Yeah, he's got to do that.
Yeah.
But where in the description of our country does it say our president should risk the well-being as commander-in-chief of himself and his cabinet by even making travel to another nation? He doesn't need to go out and jet set, I'm not saying they have to be like Chinese emperors with fingernails and sitting in the Forbidden Palace. But this whole thing, I want a peace prize, I want peace in the Middle East, this, that, and the other. What part of no foreign entanglements said by George Washington do people not understand? And you see, they're willfully not understanding it because they want something more than the presidency. Sense, guys?
Exactly.
Sorry if I'm smacking my lips. I'm having a little bit of supper while we're working here.
You
Oh,
are
you're
smacking your lips.
But you're
Yes, you are.
roboting a little bit, cutting
That's-
out every so often.
Yeah.
If I need to repeat, let me know. And Dee, would you like to
Yes.
bring that book forward and get us rolling on that?
Well, yes, I would. Excuse me. Just swallowed my spit. Excuse me. Goodness. Okay. The book is here. Let me see. Let me see if I can show this here. The book here is The Making of America. And this little quiz here. There's only one question here for the quiz. And the question is, why was the Ninth Amendment necessary? And in this book, Provision 241 from the Ninth Amendment, there's just a couple short paragraphs here. It says, this provision gives the American people the right to claim any and all prerogatives which belong to them, whether or not they are enumerated in this Constitution. One of the reasons the framers of the Constitution did not want to enumerate a Bill of Rights was that they feared the enumeration would never be complete and that other rights might therefore be lost because they were not included. This provision was designed to be a catch-all clause to protect all other rights which had not been enumerated. Since the national government is one of delegated and enumerated powers, it was important to have this provision so that all rights of citizens could be protected, whether or not they had been mentioned in the Bill of Rights. I yield.
Thank you, Dee. Hey, Bonnie, do you think the founding fathers were like predicting the future with that? Because do we remember a thing? I think it was called the 18th Amendment, and it was called Prohibition. Anybody remember that? And then we had to pass an amendment to
Mm-hmm.
repeal it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I think that all of it was written to prevent the government from having more power than the people, taking the power from the people.
Right. It was meant to bind them by the chains of the Constitution. It was more for them than us, except for the Bill of Rights.
The duct tape didn't work.
Uh-oh, were you trying to oh, not me. He's gone. He gone. He gone.
Yeah, that was a really good description of that. I think.
Yeah. That's a great amendment. That's a lot of people's favorite because then they can just make up their own. This is where I make up my own, you know?
Destry, good to see you.
Destry, there is not enough paper on earth to list all our rights. Amen. When he comes on panel, I'm going to switch onto the computer and then I'll get on screen too. He usually gets on screen unless he's going to be on. Are you going to be on your avatar tonight? Whatever these people do, I can do whatever, but he is usually on a screen and I usually am too, but I could do whatever. I could do whatever. Glad to see you didn't get blown away by that typhoon. It's nasty in Alaska. Maybe it's nowhere near him.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. On his way home. Well, safe travels, friend. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Yeah, he has the link, ladies. I was going to say last night or the night before, there was an aurora borealis that was touching the northern U.S., so he was getting full effect. So this time it's not a tsunami or winds blowing him away, but it might be a cosmic storm, and you might be like the Fantastic Four of Patriots. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just having fun with it.
Yeah.
Aurora borealis is awesome, especially this time of year.
Is it time to be worried about Jen yet, Bonnie? Or
No,
is it in 20
not
minutes? Yet. Okay. Jen went to her meeting tonight. She's expecting somebody's going to get arrested and hoping it isn't her. I hope it isn't her too. I don't think it.
Interestingly, they requested a heavy police presence at the meeting that she was attending tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Wonder why.
That's what we're waiting to find out. What was that? She was scheduled for her 3 minutes, and so I don't know what else could be going on that.
Oh,
That's the police. Hey, What Life? Good to see you.
What Life?
Welcome. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody was getting arrested, though, I think.
Well, let's look at the future. The 18th, downtown Riverside, there's going to be a No King's Day protest. And I'm thinking to myself, if these folks had a clue with the numbers of people they do, pull into the protest, paid and not paid, they would be scary if they had a clue. So that's one point. Don't clue them in. Well, I'm done converting leftists or trying to.
Excuse me. Do you follow Tori Says much ever?
Off and on.
Okay, well, now might be a real good time to be on because she has been showing footage from federal workers who are doing training calls, okay, to be the opposition. And it's like, it's not like, but I would say it's incriminating evidence with these people and what they were actually doing with our money. So she's got like her signature, her trademark over the videos because a lot of people steal her work. They've sold her work and made documentaries about it. That Millie Weaver and her are like at odds, but I've always been more related to Tori Says. And a lot of people used to tell me that I should follow her, that I reminded them of her. Well, now I watch her and I'm like, oh yeah, we're not really that much alike in just we're both just we're just bold, I guess. I don't know. But I'm sure there's something that reminds people. I think, she worked for three-letter agencies, so I don't necessarily always trust those people. But
Mm.
July, 4th of July is
If
no.
I may,
Yes, please, I yield.
if we want to talk about I am aware of her and Millie being at odds. Some
Yeah.
of us on this very chat were very supportive of Millie when Millie was arrested during the whole Shadowgate thing
Mm-hmm.
and thrown under the bus by, we'll just say free speech systems, because I don't want to ramble too much. I don't know what will ping the YouTube censorship or the StreamYard censorship. But make a long story short, Tory's mods in Telegram, anytime I brought up assembly, they would mute me or block me. And then
Mm-hmm.
eventually I'm just like permanently muted on her Telegram. And that's been the rule on her other forums where I would pop in and try to encourage people to actually assemble. And I know she has a group of people in San Diego. So that's kind of the thing, is that she's doing something. I don't know what, but she was supposed to have some affidavits back during the whole election thing, and those never went anywhere, as far as I know. So that's not to say that she doesn't have good knowledge. It's just, you can have good knowledge, you can be a researcher. What do you do with the information afterwards? Are you going to submit it as evidence, or is it just hearsay that you picked up on the internet? So on and so forth. Also, if it's information that was like, from the US government that they had deemed classified, not supposed to do it retroactively, but if it was born classified and not declassed, and somebody comes to you with it, if it's a whistleblower because it's something against like a constitutional oath, or it's corruption or grift or whatever, there are channels for that.
Mm-hmm.
But the flip side is sometimes the chain of command won't let you be a whistleblower. So you have to be a William Bailey, you have to be a Stephen Drake, you have to be an Edward Snowden, a Julian Assange,
Mm-hmm.
and to some degree a Chelsea Manning, Bradley Manning, whatever its name is today. But point being, Tori made a very blatant claim that she worked on Stuxnet. Well, Stuxnet was done by Unit 8200 of the Mossad over there in Israel. So the Iranians, if you brag about that on YouTube, you don't think the Iranians are going to track you down? I've noticed he hasn't had like any of that, like harassment by stalker type issues, unlike other people who have been whistleblowers. So it's kind of like, well, did she really work on Stuxnet, or is she just claiming it? And the other element is, if you say you worked on Stuxnet, like I said, it's with the Israelis. That means, are you in Israel's pocket or America's pocket? Which is it? Because
Yes.
we ideally, like I said earlier, we shouldn't be really having our president or anybody over there dancing around in Israel doing this or that. I mean, what if our president, he's in Egypt or Israel, one of these places right now. I didn't read the location. But what if something does happen to him on the flight back and they say it was a terrorist? Now we got not Pete Hexas, we got JD Vance as president. I'm kind of okay with him, but the Peter Thiel stuff makes me again raise an eyebrow. Like, that's really suspicious. Hey, that's also suspicious. So there's a lot of again, both sides of the aisle are doing things that are questionable, and Tori kind of skirts that. She skirts that thing where it's like you can't pin her down, but she's not really telling her people how to get results. So why be so vague? Either give them direction. It's like the whole crap or get off the pot. I'm sure Dee, you can kind of.
Oh, jeez. Guess what? I'm leaving too. Bye.
Oh, Dee, really?
Yeah, really. Gotcha. I switched it over.
Yeah,
Obviously.
I definitely have mixed feelings about that. The foreign yeah. Okay, I just got a text from Jen. She's heading home. She's safe.
Okay, good. No arrest.
Hallelujah.
It wasn't her that got arrested.
Oh, good. That's what we'd hoped.
But so your question about where do your loyalties lie could be asked of many in DC, especially with dual citizenship. And that's
Agreed.
my concern with that. I don't think that that should even be it shouldn't be allowed to be in a position of somewhat authority up there. Yeah.
If I may,
Mhm.
or Dee, and you guys are going to say I sound like a broken record,
No, I yield. Go ahead.
but what do we read? What do we read in the book? You know, you can't have two masters. Love one and the other. So the thing is that whether Tory is or isn't part-time Israeli operative, or whether or not Trump is part-time Israeli operative, you take one oath, to that Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And they may not be enemies when they're trying to have their lobbyists, bend your ear to their will, but they are subverting you away from we the people. Your priority should be 100% of the time what we the people want, not what we other governments want. And kind of segueing into that, we'll go into it later, is when you need to inform these officials this is what we the people want. So we will be touching into that. I'm seeing Jason Schmidt making a good statement here. It shouldn't be allowed for Americans, period, let alone the people that hold the levers of power in government. Man, Schmidt's got a good head on his shoulders. I always love reading his comments because he says it a little bit better than I do,
Okay, did we cut out or did he just stop
No, I
talking?
yielded.
Oh, okay.
I yielded. I wanted to see if we're going to bounce off what Schmidt said. But it's like all of us in this chat, we're like all the choir, we may have our minor disagreements, but at the end of the day, we do agree of what we expect of our officials. And I don't think a lot of them know. And then the other ones, especially the bar ones, they do know what's expected and they work their way around it. Remember, you can't be held to an oath if you don't take an oath. And that's why over 70 officials from the Biden administration, guess what? They didn't have correctly filed oaths, or they didn't have them at all the way up the food chain to supposedly our vice president. Now, if you don't have that oath, that means in theory, you're not responsible for whatever happens while you're supposed to be under oath. But as I pointed out, impersonation of public official, and you repay everything you had while in office. Plus, there's a 2-year jail sentence and some other penalties that go with it.
So is the oath supposed to be taken in public or
like before witnesses? You're correct.
That's okay. And is there supposed to be a record of it?
Yeah, there's supposed to be copies of it. Everything like that's supposed to be in triplicate. One for yourself, one for either the National Archives or whatever government agency tracks it, one for the public to have access to, basically the copy that gets Xeroxed all the time and handled. So let's think about this too. People were like, why is it Trump's hand on the Bible during his last inauguration, blah, 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 blah. Well, part of that, if you know what that is, that whole hand on the Bible and right hand up actually came from the Freemasons. And there's only one other president who's never, who did that, where he didn't have his hand on the Bible, was JFK. So kind of a little nod from Trump that on this occasion, this presidency, he's kind of like saying, I'm not going through your rituals anymore. So just something to consider too, guys. I don't know if you guys caught that. And people, if you look up JFK's inauguration, a lot of times they put a date bar over where his hand should be resting. But if you look far enough, I believe it's an old C-SPAN clip. You'll see actually from like the thighs and up, and you'll see it. Yeah, JFK's hand is not on the Bible while he swears in, because he's a Catholic. He's not going to do a Freemason ritual. Amazing thought there, huh?
I did not know that. So
Yep.
Is it the same thing in court when you have to swear on the Bible?
Technically, I would actually have them make me swear on a constitution rolled up on top of the Bible. I'd be using for it just to, kind of put them in a different type of box. But that's something I came up with as a teenager. I might be completely out of line with that. I still will swear it on a King James Bible just so everyone knows I'm on the up and up. I'm not trying to do any flim flam on them, but I don't prefer it. It's like I'm aware of what they want me to, like being a monkey going through their tricks, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
Yeah, Jason calling out Huckabee too. I like Huckabee's personality, but this whole fanboying for Israel and everything, and then hey, and Jason makes a point you can affirm as well. That's correct. See, if you really want to take biblical scripture correct, you're not supposed to swear by anything under heaven, anything on earth, and so on. If you make a covenant, kind of a similar thing. Like, was it David and Uriah that did that, or who was Saul's son that David was friends with?
Jonathan.
King Saul. Jonathan, thank you. I don't know why I forget the name Jonathan. I can remember John. It's always Jonathan. I blank on. But yeah, David and Jonathan make the covenant. That they would not harm each other, this, that, and the other. So there's a time and place for it, because when you do make that, you intend for the wrath of God to come upon you. So it is a very sincere thing to do. And I think we've seen elements of our government, especially the far left, throw that oath, into the wastebasket like they try to do with the Constitution. They don't believe in the documents. Where are they going to swear to it? So in a creepy way, it's them being honest. And I see Jen's on the panel. Welcome, Jen. I'm going to yield.
Hi, Jen.
Hello.
How'd
Hello,
it go?
everybody.
Tell
Good
us
to
all
see you
about
again.
it. We're waiting for Destry.
Okay. Hello, everybody.
Count
Hi, Bonnie.
I got to step away for just a minute or two. I'll be back.
Yeah, I looked up the original Texas Constitution.
Hi, Echo. Hi, Watt. It looks like there's two people here.
Well, there's three or what have you.
How fitting for tonight. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, we have a bunch of history going on. I'm of course, looking forward to next month, Marine Corps, birthday ball, and yeah, the Navy's doing their thing right now. So I'm loving all the material I'm reading with the Navy. So there's always something you can learn from history.
Mm-hmm.
Even when it's like a bad chapter, even when it's a bad chapter in history, you can learn, hey, don't do that again.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You guys want a rabbit hole, by the way, look up Admiral Forrestal, his suicide / murder after Pearl Harbor. You look that stuff up. You're gonna be like, wow. It's like, yeah, totally. FDR was a great. So was a lot of the people around him. So I'll let you guys figure that one out.
And what's his name?
Admiral Forrestal. basically they court-martialed over Pearl Harbor. Yeah, they had to make someone take the fall and picked him. But if you know anything about encryption, let's just say we knew what was coming. So that's the FDR wanted to get us into that World War. They couldn't get us into the League of Nations with World War, so they had to have another World War, and after that, they just changed the name and it became the United Nations. So there you go, guys. They're persistent. By the way, Jen, welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you see this, Sean?
Welcome back from Department of Defense Law of War Manual. Beautiful. It's only chapter 11, though. Is that like?
Yeah. Oh, gosh, we're taking turns.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So how is it going? How's the?
It's going good. We've
Yeah.
been depicting the Ninth Amendment, and
Nice.
Sean's been very informative, and Jason Schmidt in the chat. He's a
Nice.
good.
I don't know if you can see this one.
Yep.
So
Army citizenship training. Manual.
yeah.
Interesting.
Talk about education.
Yep.
Apologies for the drop.
Yeah.
You're
Did you see
okay.
that second one, Sean, or no?
I dropped right after I started marking out for that Law of War Manual, and that's Schmidt's got a good quote again. You got your citizenship manual. Nice.
Yep.
2000-25. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how we should be running if you get a chance to read it.
Yeah.
And FDR did not like that either. And I got a book actually about how the researcher found out about that and went on a quest to, basically get it restored and track it down. And I think he actually found it like at an auction or archive somewhere. When I finish reading the book, I'll tell you guys what that researcher found out. Welcome, Destry.
Yes. Welcome, Destry.
Hello.
Hey,
Destry.
hey.
How are you this evening?
Been a long day.
Hey, Destry.
Did you just get off work?
Yeah.
I know my time is different. It's West Coast people like to keep me up late at night too. I like the icon.
One thing about being here, Bonnie, is you allow us to have a kind of relaxed discussion. So definitely do appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate it too.
It lets us decompress.
Rowdy discussion if we want to.
And yeah, D might get a little rowdy sometimes. But we let it work.
Mhm.
Fair enough. Yeah, Schmidt's dropping the knowledge bombs in the chat, guys. Good stuff on his end. I was gonna say, if Destry seems like he might be a little tired. Man's a road warrior, and
Yeah, let's hurry up.
mine also is he puts in the hours like the rest of us. So I was gonna first posit. We were starting off with the Ninth Amendment, Destry, and that basically says, the government's not going to any of the rights of the people after a certain point. I explained also it kind of ties into the 10th Amendment a little bit later. With that, under went into pointing out that, this government has been, though, intruding on the rights and trying to redefine the rights of people, whether it was COVID lockdowns, whether it was red flag laws, take your pick. They're inventing things to infringe on and addressed, such as our politicians listening to the lobbyists instead of we the people. And so I expressed that, yes, we need to tell them that they need to either do this or that, otherwise there's no voice, and that's where the lobbyists are in their ear. So Destry or Dee or Bonnie, whoever, how do you guys want the to go? Do you
Well,
want
I'd
to
get to
address
see you.
what I've referenced?
If I could ask Destry a question, how long do we have you for?
Probably got me about an hour.
Did he say
Uh,
about an hour?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Correct.
thank you. Excellent.
Yeah.
That's all I have to know.
Don't mind that I get text messages piling in, and it kind of interferes with us a little bit. But going back to the 10th Amendment, we had a discussion on National Assembly website, on the National Assembly call on that. People don't realize that what's running our country today is not a government. It is a private company providing 19 essential governmental services owned by the Crown. They're supposed to uphold our original government because that's what they're acting as. However, they've strayed away from that, and they've just gone into their own control and profiteering piracy on the people.
Privacy. Yeah. We'd see
Yes.
that a lot in the beginning, and I didn't really comprehend it. Could you explain that a little more, how they are doing that, please?
With the piracy or being a
Yeah,
company?
the piracy of it's the public officials, right? Working in the de facto is what.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, our form of government was abandoned in 1861. And what we have going on today is a whole different ballgame. That's why we're trying to restore what we had.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this inland piracy that they're doing, yeah, a lot of people call it maritime. Other people call it Roman civil law, the code.
Mm-hmm.
None of their rules apply to the people. Like Kirk Pendergrass had pointed out, if you go into the 1776 Virginia Constitution, it clearly defines what a citizen is. A citizen is either an elected or appointed office holder.
Right.
Now, why do all the people think they're citizens? U.S. citizens. I was never elected or appointed. Were you?
Nope.
There you go. Oh, their rules only apply to citizens.
And the citizens are federal.
Or state or local, but they work within that municipal corporation. The rules don't apply to us.
Mm-hmm. There are levels, if I may. There are levels of these kind of scams and cons. Like, did you ever hear about the British zoo parking attendant? For 25 years, pretended to be a parking attendant, and then one day he just didn't show up. He just left with all this money, and it was this big, huge thing. You can look it up. And it's like, these people, they just run a lot of shyster programs, really. And Ricky taught me early on, and I'll yield after this, that, Four Corners, if he's out there, when they come after you, you go after them, and you don't go after the body politic, which is what most Americans think to do with a lawyer. I yield.
Yeah, how many people know what a lawyer really is? See, in the War of 1812, when we kicked the snot out of the British and sent them back to the king, they went to the king and says, King, we can't take them. King said, don't worry about them economically. So what he did was he sent all his esquires in over here, every one of them that's got a British accreditation registry bar number, to infiltrate our government and take over. Who was the key player that shut down our republic in 1861? Who was it that studied to be a lawyer in Illinois and become an Illinois bar member?
Lincoln,
You got it.
President Lincoln.
Yes, he took office on March 4th, 1861. 10 days later, the South got mad and walked out. That's when our republic was abandoned, and that's when the Constitution for the United States of America that we created to cage that government was vacated. This Constitution of the United States was brought forward in 1871 because the Crown-owned corporation that used to be called the Virginia Company, they renamed themselves to United States Incorporated. Well, they had to have a business charter. So they brought forward a Constitution of. That's their mission statement. Do they abide by it? No.
No. And that's when I thought it happened, was 1871, but it was actually 1861.
Yeah, there was a 10-year period in between where the military was running the country.
Oh,
Yes, 1863, General Order 100 was brought forward by Abraham Lincoln, put us under martial law, Lieber Code. The military is to run the country until the people return.
And we're still
Well,
under it, right?
Yeah, the military can't be their own boss. They can't be the they can't be the holder and the trustee of the trust. So they had to put somebody in above it to give them the orders. And the only one that was available was the crown because the people never returned.
It's
That's
very
what we
hard to
got
get.
today.
Sorry. It's very hard to get 13 people together on the same page. It's hard to get two.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's not easy.
They say they want these things. They say they want to protect the kids. They say they want clean water. They say a lot of shit, A lot of people talk, a lot of stuff. I hear a lot of people talk and complain.
But people are scared. People are afraid to stick their nose out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's true.
What's God tell us throughout the Bible? 365 times. Have no fear.
Be not
Do not be afraid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
uh-oh. I'm going to have to be excused for a second to let her out.
Down.
Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Dee, I guess that makes you the vice moderator or what have you.
Yes, please.
Yeah, if I may, to build on what Destry is saying, the thing with the South walking out, there wasn't just slavery and abolition as one of the reasons to be upset about Lincoln. And I apologize, my roommate's dog is deciding to have a moment. I'll touch on the bar attorney issue with Lincoln and some more research in a moment. I yield.
Hi, Watt. Welcome.
There we go.
Evening, everybody.
We almost got all the usuals in here.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Jen, do you have any questions? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, let's get questions because I can talk about my stuff later.
Well, I have a question and an answer. Destry, currently I have a 1928 Army Citizen Training Manual and the Department of Defense Law of War Manual, Chapter 11 only. What would be your next book of choice?
Next book of choice would be, I'd have to say, Critical Period of American History, 1783 to 1789, written by Fisk.
Okay. Thank you. I yield.
Was his first name Carlton or something like that?
John?
Oh, John.
Yeah.
Well, so for the assembly, I was looking over the page you have up of how to assemble your county and stuff. And I'll say this, the Muslims are assembling and the criminals are assembled. There's a lot of other people that are assembled, and we have a good foundation, I think. And I don't know why Americans, they don't really know this stuff. That's why when you first come in, it's all about getting educated and how to do it. And it's pretty obvious real quick that that's why nothing is really changing, because we're not really engaging, some of us. I mean, I feel pretty overwhelmed and outnumbered by my town. So I've just tried to share what's going on here so people could see. When the parents are still going to mask their own kids or have them go to these drag shows for kids and all this kind of stuff, it makes it kind of hard to want to go out there. My kids are grown, so, but I still would like to see assembly. It's just, I don't feel very good at recruiting. I feel like a lot of people don't feel very good at recruiting. It's like not our favorite thing. I wish there was other people in the assembly that would do the recruiting, And I get it though, but I yield.
Yeah, I hear you there. It's like a
Yeah.
needle in a haystack, finding the right one to do the task.
Mm-hmm.
They're out
Yeah.
there, but it's hard to find them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they go to the meetings. I feel like a lot of those people would be good, but it's a matter of talking to them about the assembly and gathering and the time. It's like just even to take the first step is such a challenge, right?
Yeah, it is a challenge. A lot of people don't understand that's all that is required of us right now during this interim period is just to have some warm seats,
A warm
somebody
tushy.
in there just to hold it
Mhm.
down. We're not going to be doing nothing.
Hi, Scrimshaw.
We just got to hold the seats, have it ready.
And a
One
lot of
point-
people. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
One point behind this is it's explained in some of our documentation that when the time comes to come out of interim, most of those who are holding the offices now on the de facto side, as long as they do not have a bar number, they can remain in those offices if they choose, but they will have new bosses, which will be the people. Which would be a good thing because they already know where things are at. They know what's going on. And it
Indeed.
would make it for easier transfer.
Yeah. May I?
Go ahead.
So for watching the city council meetings and the board of supervisor meetings, one of the positions I have noticed that there was a quick resignation after an emergency meeting with the board of supervisors was for the director of aviation out here. And so I've watched that position kind of get, new people here. And then Department of Agriculture, there's a new whole department, whole new building and wing. So it's just interesting. It's hard to figure out what might be of any kind of new system, or is it all going to be part of this old system? I kind of see them weaving together and kind of merging, and then as the du jour grows, it eventually taking over. Is that how you're seeing it? I yield.
Yeah, what I see is what needs to happen is anything that goes against the Constitution, anything that goes against the people as like a victimless crime charge, unlawful taxation, that all comes to an end immediately. No victim, no crime. These judges, their role will be done. On the de jure side, all them justices do, all they are is a glorified secretary to maintain the record. They don't decide cases. A jury of 12 decides a case. A grand jury of 25 picks the case apart and feels if it's worth an indictment or not, bill or no bill. If there's a bill, it gets handed down to a jury of 12. They make the decision, not no judge in a robe. These are things that are going to change. These are what the people are supposed to have. I give a really good example on this. You get a couple of guys, they're old friends, time to go hunting. They both head out to the woods. The guy that's second in line, he trips over a root and accidentally shoots his hunting partner and kills him. Now in this current system, they could get him with second-degree manslaughter, take away his guns, throw him in jail for 10 years, $250,000 fine, whatever they want to do. On the de jure side, when it goes in front of a jury of your peers, people who know you, they'll know if this guy that accidentally shot his partner, if he's a good guy, if he's got a good heart, or if he's evil. They'll know, and they'll judge him based on their knowledge of him.
Right.
And I'd rather face that than this corporate machine that's out for profit on them. That's just one example. What needs to change?
May I?
Good.
So if people aren't exactly properly assembled, but they are setting up to make a move against their county, I've studied the National Assembly website. I don't know, Bonnie, if you could share that screen. I think I hear you over there clicking, but there's the whole page you've worked on a lot with what people need to do in the covenant, and all that stuff is there. So it shouldn't be like, I see that is the goal, but I don't even know what my question was, but I know that it's all laid out for people. It just seems like, I don't know, we're all not getting enough oxygen or something. I don't know. I yield.
Okay. I'll get back to that comment you made about going against the county. That's not what we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to go against them. We're not going to trespass on them.
Make a move, I said.
We're just simply going to inform them we no longer require their services.
Okay. Inform. Yep.
That's right. We don't care what they do. They can go do their business elsewhere, whatever they want to do. Just they can't have nothing to do with the people no more.
Mm-hmm.
If I may, I think Destry, you might agree with me on this. There are a few people, and maybe within the last, I'd say 80 years, who could, take on, say, state or county governments. They would have their occasional wins, and then those counties or state governments would just create some excuse and just throw them under the jail anyway, because they just don't want to admit that they lost and were out of line. Constitution. I can think of like Red Beckman having the 5 wins. Oh, he's doing this. We'll put him in jail for this. Other people being accused of paper terrorism. Them attempting to arrest Carl Miller. I was sharing a couple months ago that video where Carl was chuckling about that, and he's educating people in the jailhouse with him. So there is remedy, but the remedy is the weight of the people speaking as one voice, saying leave us alone, versus hey, we're going to go and chase down every financial asset you have, and we're going to harass you at all hours of the day, and so on and so forth. I think I'm kind of on the right path with my statement. Correct, Destry?
Yes, you are. In fact, on the National Assembly website about a week ago, I uploaded an interesting document. It's written by these judges. Let me go to it here. This I found really interesting, and I was doing everything I can to try and get Clint and what's his name, both of them, to take a look at this thing and go through it.
Roger,
No, out of
Utah,
yeah,
Jim,
Jam
Jim
or
on
whatever his
Utah,
name is.
Jim on Utah is all I know. He said, yeah.
Yeah, it's called the Anti-Government Movement Guidebook. And it's by the National Center for State Courts from 1999. And this whole book is all the people have tried to do to win cases using the Constitution, upholding their rights. This whole book takes that information over the years and combines it into a way that these judges these days can use it to shut these people down.
Could you repeat the book, please?
Yeah, let me get back to it here.
Oops, sorry.
It's called the Anti-Government Movement Guidebook.
Anti-Government Movement Guidebook.
Yes.
Thank you.
I got the PDF up in the National Assembly forums. I posted it on when did I post it?
Jerry, good to see you.
October 2nd.
Okay, yeah, that form's easy. The search is great. Works well. Love the website. Thank you for holding that down and all that. You know, I hear I'm sorry, can I I'll wait to go. I wrote some things down. Hey Vex, I'll yield.
Good to see you, Vex.
Hello, everybody. Continue on, please. Don't let me interrupt.
Hey, Vex.
Good to see you, Destry.
Well, I was gonna say one of the frustrations a lot of people have, they come in assembly and they want to do something right away, you know, and a lot of them have had to deal with CPS. And I've heard people say, well, we've helped people with it, and then they don't come back and they don't stay. And of course, you know, dealing with CPS, they're such tyrants that, you know, and people are dealing with their kids. They're shell shocked, you know, they're just like, and so they may not come back, but they may send people. And, you know, just knowing if any of us had to get put into jail, I'd like to know that I had a group of people that could help me, but I don't think we see it in action enough is the thing, you know. But anyway, with the website, I've tried to, what do you think people should be focusing on? Say they're not properly assembled, but they want to start gathering evidence, you know, either doing public records acts or FOIAs. I mean, I'd rather do it under the protection of the assembly where our names are redacted. But a lot of times in the assembly, I hear them saying, well, you should go get FOIA requests and you should do this and that. But I don't really see us really working on anything. And so we were thinking of doing something digitally. And that's when Sean wanted to reach out to you, because I think it made him nervous, quite honestly. But I don't know. That's a lot. I'll just yield and shut up because I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
Okay, I get where you're coming from. I understand it. That's what a lot of people want. But they get discouraged when they find out, like I said earlier, we don't trespass on that corporation. They operate in the private on their own, unfortunately. Through the contract of 1871, they have control over what we do. We are here to assemble in the private and grow to the point to where we're ready to flip that switch, where we can step up and take over. Until then, we're just private.
Right.
We don't bother with them. We don't screw with them. We don't go after them. We're not lawyers. We're not militia, nothing like that. And it's a slow process. They didn't build Rome overnight. United States of America wasn't built overnight either. And in
Mhm.
fact, it took the corporation from 1789 until now to get to the point they're at now. The Great American Experiment, if the people can keep it. The moment the founders left Constitution Hall, that's when the Great American Experiment started chipping away at it. 1933 was a huge step when they brought in the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
We should have said no. We should have rejected it. Why didn't we?
Mhm.
So,
But like I said, this is a crown-owned foreign corporation. How do we pay for those services? It's called property tax. That tax bill you get on your home and your land, that's what goes for paying the crown. 87% of that goes straight to the crown. When I said the king made that statement that he'd take us economically, well, there you go. We
wow.
want that gone. We just have to reassemble till we're ready to tell that corporation we're done. We don't need your services no more. Have a nice day. Go ahead.
May I? Yeah, Destry, this will build on some knowledge you've expressed to myself and some others. There's a good question posted right now from Carolina Country Homesteading 101. And one of the things with that bar association and that crown, all the corporations in the United States that are filed out there in Delaware and in other locations feed into that, including the 501c3 churches. So when you expose that these churches are under the IRS's thumb and they're, jumping through the hoops and they're part of the system, those pay to play ministers are not very happy about that. And there is a way out of that particular system. You had expressed it to us before, but most of these ministers, they like being comfortable. And we can trace that back to Lyndon Baines Johnson and his finagling. But that 501c3 guys is why we can go to the church and discuss assembly, but those ministers, a lot of them will tuck their tail and they'll just wave us off because they don't want to mess up their comfortable home. I'll give you guys a good example. As a young man, I was in the LDS church in my preteens and teen years and all that, and we had the gold fringe flag inside the basketball courts and places within the LDS chapels. So those who know about the gold fringe flag, that tells you right there, they were letting it into the church. Admiralty inside what's supposed to be a house of worship. Any comments on that, Destry?
Yeah, exactly. It's supposed to be separate. They're not supposed to have their noses into the churches. But here we go. They let them do it. They didn't reject it. It all falls under the code. United States Code, Roman civil law. That's what the corporation operates under.
May I?
I yield.
So I've heard that a lot of the churches on the East Coast are discontinuing their 501c, whatever it's called. I can't remember right now. And so I don't know how they get out of it, but somewhere I heard that they are getting out of that corporation part of it. And there was another question from Jason, is if they wanted to return to a gold standard, would they have to fix the price again like before?
Well, the 501c3, to get off from under that, it's actually really simple. Whoever's name that church is in, they sell it to somebody else for $1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just like a business ID. As soon as somebody else buys it, that old ID is gone. So it's that 501c3. They don't exist no more.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the second part again?
The gold standard, let me...
Oh, the gold standard. Well, back in 1920s, it took a silver dime to buy a gallon of gas. Today, it takes a silver dime to buy a gallon of gas, but you got to take that silver dime to a coin shop and sell it for $4. because whoever you buy the gas from won't accept that silver dime as actual value.
If
When
I
the
may,
system goes away, the Federal Reserve goes away, we're no longer on those Federal Reserve notes. We're going to go back to that. That'll be automatic. You could buy a home for
if I may,
$2,000. I yield.
if I may, Destry and Bonnie, I about a year and a half
Yes.
ago I found from the Denver Mint it was a 1964 or 67 United States quarter, which means it had this actual silver varnish and everything on it. It's a quarter of a dollar or so, you would think. Because of the silver, it was actually worth around somewhere between 187 to 282, depending on the condition of it. So that just gives you an idea, folks, of what they've done with the fiat currency versus actually having a precious metal based currency. So just something to ponder. As recently as the 60s, we still had, at least silver, coating our quarters to where it would affect the value of them if you go take it to a coin collector, like Destry has just said. I yield.
Yeah, exactly right. See, the only thing that's happening is that Federal Reserve's is getting more worthless and worthless daily, and it takes more and more of them to do the same thing. When it's gone, we're back on the gold silver standard. We'll be back down to real prices. I yield.
Yeah, we've had some real whoppers from Texas, haven't we? Sorry, guys.
Well, if I may, that's a case of, someone got in, as a senator, as a vice president, and he never forgot, that the churches almost cost him, that's back when the churches were, a lot of ministers were still, preaching a godly message and actually believed in the republic and didn't believe in the payout. They were still, we didn't quite have the mega churches just yet, and now the churches are as much a business as, a car wash or a sport arena or a grocery store, which is kind of a terrible way to look at it. But if Jesus was back today, I'm sure he'd be kicking over a lot more tables.
Oh, yes. There
But
was one church here that, I'm sorry, totally interrupted you. Uh, uh, but they had a contract that they wanted signed saying that you would pay a certain amount monthly to pay their bills. I guess there would seem to be a time when there was, let's see who can build the biggest church. And I'm in a really small community, and we have really huge churches, but it doesn't do much good to have a huge church if it's not full of people.
if I may,
You.
that's also an analogy. Yeah. If I may, Bonnie, that's an analogy for our government. There's all these positions and jobs and so on. Like right now, we supposed to have a shutdown. Um, my world's not in trouble from the shutdown. I don't know if you guys are having trouble from a shutdown or not, but as far as I know, it's another day. That shows you how useless these supposed de facto officials, or rather public servants, actually are. When there's a shutdown running, what are we in? Like day 3, day 7? I don't see planes falling out of the sky. I don't see the military retreating, so on and so forth. The the people blow that money to justify asking for that much money the next go around. And I can speak to that from military budgeting as well, because I was taught about that in the Marine Corps and why we budget for XYZ. So the next year we budget for more and we get to have more. So in case there's ever a shortage or a surge, we actually have some stock on hand versus being shortchanged in case of an emergency. So there's a logic behind why the military does it. But in the private sector, they do it too, but they do it to line their pockets.
This is a good question from Jason. Should they have to pay taxes like the rest of us? It would be unequal protection if they didn't have their special carve out.
Well, technically, there's only two constitutional taxes. One is on new items, and the other is on gas. Any other tax is unconstitutional and needs to go. During the 1600s, 1700s, and into the 1800s, tariffs supported government. The people didn't have to. I yield.
While we're contemplating that, so Destry, I know kind of what it's tangent to what Dee was asking about earlier. I know in Alaska, you guys have had some successes as far as your assembly goes, as far as direction or directives to the Governor Dunleavy. And for those who want to look those up, you can go to alaskadejure.org. They're posted. You can scroll through their links and you'll find them. But the thought for her and myself kind of was like, when people do assemble, and I know the process for creating a motion and going from there, but would you kind of lay that out as to how it coalesces together from the different people having different goals, say for a governor or for some official, and then how they would go about directing that official? Because everyone's told to write their congressman, but I put it as, it's not that you write your congressman, it's how you write your congressman, if that makes any sense. I yield.
All right, thanks, Sean. Two things in the Act of 1871 that really stood out to me. One is the people choose who the president will be. The people make their choice of who they want one of them to be the president to help keep that corporation in line, which Donald Trump's trying to do right now. The other is the people are supposed to give instruction. So here in Alaska, I kept thinking about it. I was talking to Paul about it, and at the time, Robert, and he says, well, just throw some oatmeal on the wall and see what sticks. We weren't expecting nothing. So, as an assembly, we got together, drafted up some directives, and sent them off to the governor. We're just watching, paying attention, see if anything come back. Well, a couple of them were addressed. One was the feds. The feds went after some people who have remote land. The only way to get to it is to go down a river. They're using a hovercraft. The feds come in and try to arrest them and throw them in jail for it. And the governor literally had our Alaska state troopers stop them feds, release the people, and run the feds right out of Alaska.
Wow.
Another one was we told the governor that we would like our ATVs and our side-by-sides. We just put all-terrain vehicles, ATVs, allowed on the public roads. He did that. ConocoPhillips Willow Project. This was a big one because my work is directly involved. Because I work for a big trucking company here in Alaska, hauling stuff up at the North Slope. ConocoPhillips Willow Project was one of the things that Biden had shut down, and they were blocking ANWR. They shut down the Keystone Pipeline. Keystone's got nothing to do with Alaska. But we addressed that and told our governor that those shutdowns were due to no constitutional reason. It was interfering with contract for him to move forward with the ConocoPhillips Willow Project, fill the pipeline. 1 year after we had issued that order, the dignitaries for ConocoPhillips flew in on a plane right into Fairbanks here And they actually took a tour through the shop I work at and walked right on past me, didn't even have a clue to who I was. They're going back to work. They took a tour of our
Nice.
shop because we haul most of their stuff.
That's funny.
Yeah. And when we had put those orders out, I happened to have a copy with me at work, and I showed my boss and his boy. I handed them those orders, says, hey, check this out. Well, the year later, when the dignitaries are walking through our shop, I kind of mentioned to my boss, I says, remember a year ago that document I showed you? And they're like, yeah. I says, well, here you go. It worked.
Yeah.
Biden came out on television, or one of his stooges or robots or clones or whatever you want to call it, actor, comes out and says, because he was questioned about that. He says, well, we had to let that go through because of contract. Yeah, right. If that was the case, Keystone Pipeline was also under contract. That would have too. But no, just the ConocoPhillips Willow project moved forward. They couldn't stop it. Why? Because of us, our assembly.
Yeah.
Now, would that work for other states? I have no idea. I doubt it. There's nothing wrong with throwing oatmeal on the wall, see if something will stick, but
For sure.
I wouldn't be counting on anything.
Well, the
Yeah.
thing that's, if I may, that's really hard to take at this point, Destry, is the COVID stuff is still going on. You know, we have a gal from Butte County who came and spoke in Humboldt County with another man, and they put the man had put the county on notice months ago, and when he came back, he let him know how many people had died since he put them on notice. And she's going to all the counties of California because she's from Butte County, and she's injured, and her mom was killed from it. And she's telling all these, board of supervisors. So that's another thing that's really hard to see continue on. It's like, it seems like that would be something I would love to see, as a county and or assembly, working on something like that but I think she's done a lot of the work actually. So I yield.
All right. Down to this COVID thing, I talked about this a couple years ago on the national call. You got a lot of people out there actually believe it. They believe it's good. Do you have the right to violate their rights to obtain it if that's what they so desire?
No, I don't.
Do you have the right to put the word out to try and show them that it's poison?
Yes.
Okay. We don't have a right to interfere. We do have a right to educate.
Right.
So we can't stop it. But if a well-informed body of people won't touch it, that's what we need to do.
So what
It's not
about
my right. It's not my right to stop somebody from committing suicide.
Right.
But if I can show them that they're needed, wanted, and loved, then I hope they won't.
If I may,
Absolutely.
Well,
Now you.
Yeah.
yeah, if I may briefly, it's kind of
Yes.
like the analogy that Apple computers. We know Apple computers are made with slave labor. Big Apple on their laptops and everything, supposed to be the apple that's been bitten from the Garden of Eden. They're telling that they're a shady company with the logo, but people still buy Apple computers and iPhones every day. So educate that they use questionable business practices like a lot of these other tech firms. But if people still choose to buy it, now people quit buying it, there's no money to make it, they go out of business and they quit producing that. And once they're dead, karma catches up to them pretty fast. Simply put, Big Pharma, I wouldn't be surprised if Big Pharma starts having record losses in the next few years. Keep in mind, folks, Rite Aid is bankrupt and done. My neighborhood Rite Aid I used to work at, I watched them basically shutter their doors. They transferred to CVS. So as far as I know, we don't have CVS and Walgreens, and I don't feel bad big pharma closing down right now because they help promulgate jabs. So the doctors who did or the pharmacists who did the saline solution, God bless them for looking out for their customers. The ones who didn't, well, now they're unemployed. So what goes around comes around, I yield.
Yeah. So, but how do we stand? I mean, we don't have that problem here, but I have seen it. Well, in some cases, certain doctors' offices, or so to even walk in the building, you have to follow their protocol. If it means wearing a mask, if it means I guess that was the main thing. Testing, getting your temperature taken as soon as you walk in the door. And this is Texas, so it's hot here. So your forehead's going to be hot when you walk in. We saw that a number of times, especially with my stepfather. So how do we say, okay, need to go to this doctor, but I don't want to comply?
May I?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. During that fake pandemic, the Home Depot here in Fairbanks was telling everybody they need to have a mask. So I went to Lowe's. And I even said, and they didn't do that. And one of the guys that was working there at Lowe's, I kind of told him about that, and he just started snickering a little bit and said, yeah, there are a bunch of jokes over there. So, hey, it's freedom of choice of where you want to go. Any of these companies out here, however they choose to operate, however they choose to operate. It's our choice if we want to give them business or not. Just like this corporation. It's our choice if we want to do business with them or not. The corporate United States. Well, I don't want to give them business. I want to give the people business, but I'm working on it. It's our choice if we want to support them or not. So if you got doctor offices pulling that crap, find one that don't. I yield.
That also, if I may, that also goes into, basically informing everybody. You could stand outside there or off the property lines, whatever, and inform people that, you don't have to go here. You can go over here. So staying informed and informing others is a big deal. I yield.
Okay. I know I did this by emails, and I do not know Lynn Groff. Are y'all familiar?
I am not. Hi, Lynn.
I apologize, Bonnie. Hey, Lynn. I apologize, Bonnie, but you sounded a little roboting, and I wanted to build on what Destry and Vex had said. If you guys will let me,
well, she's trying to verify who's on panel real quick, Sean. She has someone on panel that might be a stranger. We just want to make sure it's someone we know.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, this is Lynn. I'm from California. I yield.
Sweet. Welcome. Okay, go ahead, Sean. Or sorry, Bonnie. I yield. I'll shut up. This ain't my show.
I believe she was invited by somebody.
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, I invited all of California to be here.
Okay, great.
Hey,
thank you.
I'm not going to let Destry be alone, and not have people give our experiences fighting these COVID issues or other issues. So, Destry, as he said, he's only going to be up here for an hour, but this knowledge, folks, we've been spreading it far and wide. My case with COVID during this scamdemic, what I wanted to point out was I got the jury duty message, and it turns out because they sell things in the courthouse, from their vending machines and their coffee machines and so on. They're a place of business. We know they're all. So I was able to find their own code. I think it was 18 USC section 2000, subsections A, B, and D, which you cannot trespass on someone's civil rights. I looked it up recently too, and I'm blanking horribly on it, but I can find it again. You can't trespass on someone's civil right, quote unquote, in a government building or impose on their religion. So I called up the county, courthouse clerk. I'm like, I want to serve jury duty, but the mask, that's against my religion. And according to this, your own rules, you can't impose on my religious beliefs. I will not wear a mask. I'm not, going to practice Sharia law in my country, etc. Well, they said, you don't have to do jury duty. I'm like, no, I want to do jury duty. Like, I will get back to you. They didn't get back to me because naturally, I'm sticking up for myself. That's the word. We want informed jurors who actually are like myself. We'll research what we're looking at and, what the rules are and the laws are and so on. And of course, they don't want to get back to you because they know that you might be the guy who, upends their case that's going to make them, thousands of dollars, sending some, schmuck to jail or sending, someone to the gas chamber or whatever it is, or to the electric chair. I don't even know if they still do that. No, they don't. But point being is that if you can prove in the government case that they're a corporation and they're making money, they're doing business, and they're open to the public, which a courthouse is, you can actually hold their own rules against them. They may not like it, but it's on the books, folks. So that was one of the experiences on COVID that I had. I yield.
Yes. And Lynn, if you're still listening, welcome, and you're welcome to be up here.
Yeah, she's
Appreciate
choppy like I am sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, corporate courts, all they want's a rubber stamp jury.
Exactly.
They hate informed jurists.
That's why we talk about Red Beckman so much, is he wanted people to know about the fully informed jury and how that Constitution and Bill of Rights is like the bar of the cage on that beast system. And he's a good example, folks. He went 5-0. He helped 5 widows out, and then they threw him under the jail because they said they could. So that's an example. Is if you gotta do it, win your case and just step away, because you make yourself too public like that, they will come after you. So we have to assemble so that they realize that they're going against their own constituency if they try stunts like that. I yield.
Yeah, I've only been on one jury, and totally disagreed with the when you go back to oh God, the word just escaped me, to discuss the case and how you are going to decide, and deliberation. There you go. And I did not agree with the rest of the jurors, so I didn't sign the paper. And there was one other man that didn't sign, but they have to have 10 signatures for it to go through, which they did get.
That's not lawful.
Yeah,
You got to have all 12.
Agreed.
I believe so.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a hung jury either. It's either innocent or guilty, period.
Yes. Well, this one was a insurance case. It wasn't innocent or guilty. It was a truck driver that was forced off of the road by a truck pulling a travel trailer, and it made his truck jackknife, and I think it broke his back. So this was between the two insurance companies, and the request was for $250,000, which I felt he deserved. Jury ended up giving him $80,000.
Oof.
yeah, lost his rig, his livelihood, his missed work, you know, a lot of uh, medical. Yeah.
Hmm.
You
I
know,
have a
there's a
question. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
ask your question. I can keep this thought. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Mine's a little bit more.
Okay. I'm going to put something in the comment and I'm going to put some dots after it because it's tying into what I'm saying right now. Jerry made a very good point, but I'm going to explain something and Destry can or Vex can build on this here. Uh, we've referred to the juries when they're brought out of the assemblies that they act as a shield against the government, that they're their defensive mechanism. As we've cited out of Corpus Juris Secundum 38A, when there is a grand jury de jure, the de facto must yield. I've actually done screenshots of that very excerpt and shared that around before. Some of you guys have probably had it, either in your chat rooms or in your emails from me because I kind of like to share that excerpt. And here's the thing: if you don't have a grand jury de jure present, the de facto court is running in that vacuum, running their system. So yeah, they are essentially legitimate, but you can't just convene the grand jury ad hoc. You have to have standing. That's what the assembly provides for: is your jury pool, your militia pool, your sheriff's deputy pool. You could add on committees of correspondence. It's a Swiss Army knife, but at the same time, it's also a body public that is there to fill the needs of self-governance that otherwise paid, I don't want to call them paid actors, but paid people have to be there in place of it. We, the people in self-governing, are supposed to do it willingly. The incentive of, oh, you get to sit on the grand jury as a retiree and make some extra money every day, that's not really why you should be on the grand jury. You should be on the grand jury because you want someone to be there and stick up for your rights, and it should go vice versa, that you want to stick up for their rights if they're on trial, whoever they may be. So if that grand jury is not convened because your assembly is not there to, be used as that jury pool or to convene that, then yeah, that de facto system, you try to get as many good people into it as you can. Kind of the point of, hey, let's get some good people to run for office in the de facto. But in the meantime, those folks running got to understand when they take that oath and they become part of that corporation, they're limited by how that corporation's bylaws and NDAs and so on go. So it's like, yeah, we want a lot of good people in there, but unfortunately, that beast system, it limits what you do. I can bring up like jury nullification. Now, if you say jury nullification while they're screening you for grand jury, they can give you the boot. They don't want to hear about a guy who knows about jury nullification or a guy who knows, all 10 amendments and so on. So it's kind of like you want to kind of stealthily infiltrate that system just out of decency until you can get your county and your state, more so your state, to at least have enough people, 25 jurors, 2 alternates, 4 investigators. Your general jural assembly is ready to go. And that way it can, stick up for the people if they need it. Otherwise, because there's a de facto game in place, it's just like when someone has firearms. While they have firearms, they're de facto, they're the force that's right there on the scene. If you didn't self-govern and didn't practice your Second Amendment, you're hoping they save the day because of like a riot or something, because you're taking cover versus returning fire during a riot. That's probably what shocked the whole world with Kyle Rittenhouse is, oh my gosh, someone stuck up for themselves against the rioting mob that had pistols and so on. Well, there you go. He may have to go on trial, but ultimately, the truth won the day, and self-governance, the young man being responsible with his rifle and not taking out innocent bystanders, that won the day. I'm going to go ahead and yield for comments or thoughts on that.
Yes, Destry.
Yeah, just
Corpus Juris Secundum, volume 38A, page 340, top right column, first line. There cannot be a grand jury de facto when a grand jury de jure is present. On the left-hand side, on page 339, it says the federal court must use a de jure grand jury. The Seventh Amendment says in suits at common law where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States. That means whatever the people decide in a jury cannot be challenged by any court, and that includes the Supreme Court, because that's one of the courts of the United States. Even the Supreme Court cannot challenge a jury of 12. This is why it's so important. And you got a jury, even with one informed juror, can show the others what the real law is. Yeah, you can override anything the government tries to do. One of the big things that goes on, like in your local counties, is a jury will be called up for some case or whatever on someone, and what the judge will say, or the prosecutor, is find this guy guilty or not guilty on this particular statute. That's jury tampering right there, just doing that.
May I?
Because
quick,
the jury has the right in nullification on anything according to them laws. The jury can nullify any law they want. I yield.
If I may, Destry, did that happen to one Donald John Trump? I think it did. Just saying.
Yes, it did.
I yield.
May I?
Go ahead.
Does Lynn have a question? Because I wanted to talk to Destry about something a little bit. I don't know how to put it, but I don't know if she has any questions before I did that.
May I?
Please.
What I would like to get clarification on, because this was going back and forth a bit ago with some people in assembly, and it's in regards to the fact that we are a constitutional republic versus a confederational republic. I'm trying to have a very clear understanding of what it is that we need to be discussing and understanding. I yield.
No, that's a good one. The Confederacy is what we really want. We had the Articles of Confederation, 1777. Due to the Articles of Confederation not having any controls in it to handle international trade, the founders needed to protect themselves. So they brought forward a constitution to replace the Articles of Confederation. A constitution is a debt instrument. One who signs onto a constitution is known as a constitutor. The Latin definition of a constitutor is one who knowingly and willingly accepts the debt of another. Now you got this corporation that we've talked about, this 1871 corporation, which has about a $38 trillion deficit right now. And they're trying to pass that on to the people. Well, the funny part is you start digging into the roots of this thing, that 38 trillion is actually owed to the people. So Isaiah 49:8. God says, "For I have heard you, and I give you a covenant to reclaim the land and inherit the desolate heritages." Sounds like we need to reclaim our land, and we got a lot of desolate heritages we need to inherit, don't we?
May I?
Amen.
This is why in our documentation, we've got it in there that we're trying to use a covenant for the restoration of our vacated republic. We don't want a constitution, but if a state so chooses it wants to remain with a constitution, it can. Go ahead, Sean.
And I'm going to build on what you're talking about, Destry, because if I may, as someone who was a young man, 19 years old, went to boot camp, stepped on the yellow footprints at MCRD, San Diego, and swore to the Constitution, I was aware of the Admiralty and the those issues. There were, elders in the LDS Church and veterans who taught me about that. But I was in that situation where I had to join the military, to kind of get my start in life, coming from very, we'll say, destitute upbringing. Not the worst, not living on a dirt floor, but I have lived in hotel rooms as a preteen with all my siblings in one hotel room and parents. And yeah, so point being, the military, every member who swears that Constitution becomes a constitutor, which means when people ask why is America's military being Team America World Police and doing police actions and nation building and all these things we're not really supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be the guys who knock down buildings, take names, and go home. Instead, we're doing all kinds of things that our MOS is never meant, for us to do. And then they wonder why, you have the occasional person just snap and they, let loose on a crowd, because that's not what the military is meant to do. But the military is being used by certain banking interests that want to, manipulate that debt issue to say, we want you guys to show up here and do a police action, or show up there, secure some oil, show up there, secure some poppy fields. And the military, knowing they're on the hook for this debt, they knew this going all the way back to the founding of the country. They said, how are we going to come up with a way out of this? And so they actually studied this, and they actually passed this on to people like yourself, Destry, and other people in Michigan and Alaska. And that is where we're at today, is we're coming forward from that because the military, as we saw in the 1928 Army Field Training Manual, 2000-25, they are the caretakers of this republic and are to teach civics to the people and self-governance to the people. So I know there's, folks who have their recipe for doing things, but when they change the verbiage that's used in the recipe, they are saying, instead of salt, I want pepper. Okay, well, you're not cooking the same recipe now, are you? And there's reasons, not as an appeal to authority, but because the research has been done. If you want to make it longer, yeah, you can keep doing your own research. I would encourage you to do it on top of it. But, don't kick and scream and try to reinvent it when your research lines up. And then you say, well, I could do it this way because I want, instead of salt and pepper, I want to add cinnamon now. You're going to mess up the recipe. You're making steak, not cake. So, Destry, I don't know if you want to expand on the point about the military being open to us and in fact accepting requisitions from the National Assembly. But that is kind of me again circulating us back, not like Jen Psaki, but circling us back to something Dee was asking questions about. I yield.
Okay, this is going to be heavy duty. Remember when I talked about the original Constitution was vacated and the corporation in 1871 had to have a business charter, so they bought the Constitution of. That's the Constitution the military swore an oath to, which happens to be the business charter for a Crown-owned company. So, indirectly, who the military swore their oath to? The Crown.
Yep.
Really think about it. Why do you think Donald Trump got to inspect the Queen's military?
Mm-hmm.
Also, China has a republic. North Korea has a republic. What we had, the founders brought forward from Constitution Hall, was a Republican form of constitutional government. And what the difference is, in a republic, 100% of the people's power is delegated in a constitutional form, only certain powers are delegated. That's why this was a great American experiment, to see if the people could keep it, because they retained most of the powers. Only certain powers were delegated to the federal government. The rest of the powers were delegated to the states, respectively. That word respectively is important. That means if the state's on good behavior, or the people. So the only time the states have the power is if they're on good behavior. The people always have all the power. Obama in 2008, military knew exactly what was going on. And they came out with a public broadcast. I don't know how many people can remember from back then, but the Naval Intelligence came out on a public broadcast and says, we need to do a coup, whether direct or through the people. They chose to do it through the people. Hence, Robert Gilman, coming out of Navy Intelligence, starting the reassembly process in Michigan. I got involved very early. Got to learn from that great man. He's been rebuilding governments around the world that have been destroyed, including Kuwait after Saddam destroyed it, Vietnam after the war. That was the first one. I don't know how many other places he's done it, but he made a comment to me one time and says, this is the first time I've done this without using gunpoint. The military needed instruction from the people so they could operate under their oath. And that's why we had to issue the 21 requisitions. They were instructed by a lawful body of people that was not rebutted. They had their orders given to them. They're still executing them today. Them seeking out Donald Trump to do what he did was a part of those orders. We didn't name Donald Trump, but we just told the military what we wanted done. It's up to them to figure out how to do it. Requisition number 19 was for NASA and the military to come together with bases on the moon, bases on Mars, space exploration, and planetary defense. What did Donald Trump do January 2019? He announced Space Force. Requisition number 20 was for the military to ensure all communications remain up and running. Who's the biggest military contractor? Elon Musk. Starlink. Thank you. We don't have to worry about our communications being taken out by the bad guys. Requisition number 21, we were just able to publicly reveal several months ago, was to end all chemtrails. They started taking out chemtrail pilots and some of the generals that were behind them, arresting them, putting them away. That was requisition number 21. There's others that haven't been addressed yet, but they're being worked on. The first 11 requisitions was to deal with our financial system, and it was literally NESARA. But we had to issue the orders to the military so that they could be operating under their oath to the people. So are we worried about unlawful assemblies that are going down the wrong road? No, not worried about them. They're just distraction, because the military is going to do an acid test before the switchover happens. They're going to make sure you've got a proper election record. They're going to make sure you've got a proper meeting record. They want to make sure you know how to maintain a record without a signed die, and you can hold elections before they will submit to your authority as civilian lawful authority. You got all these idiots out there like Anna Von Reitz, and there's a whole bunch of others out there that tried to hijack what we're doing, steer the people in the wrong direction. Every one of them's failed. We're still here because we stand on truth. We stand on the footsteps of the founders, and we strictly follow the founders' footsteps. We cannot create anything new or different than what the founders did, or we could be considered a coup. So yes, the military is doing a coup through the people, but there's no way to prove it, no way to show it, because it's the people that are doing it. I yield.
If I may, Destry, and also Bonnie, I have a very good point for everyone, because we've been stressing to people, 2028, Trump will be out of office. You should ask yourself, what then? You're going to see a lot of repeats from the first administration through this administration. First administration, Trump walked in front of the Queen, showing the Organic Act 1871 is voided. Second administration, Trump is in the royal carriage in front of King Charles and again inspects the troops. You're going to see some repeat things because the younger kids, we got to snap them out of it on TikTok and, get them up and going on this, because we're in 2025, folks. So the clock to 2028, there's enough time to assemble, but you still have to publish and wait for that rebuttal. So it's not like you snap your fingers and a group of people in a room are magically done. You still have to publish your notice, wait for the rebuttals, and then get it going in your counties. So you got to put in the sweat. The founders, they had to travel cross country on horseback, even through the night, in all types of weather conditions, just to have constitutional conventions. And those took forever. Today, we have automobiles, the internet, even airplanes if we need it. So we have a lot of conveniences, but those make for distractions. So we got to get the younger kids. This is, we're competing with TikTok now. We're competing with social media, and we're competing with video games and all this other stuff. We can win this, but we have to put in that sweat, and that effort. So I encourage you guys, stick with it. And those who are curious about it, you can find material from Destry, myself, Vex. A lot of us are posting on national-assembly.net, and a lot of us are also involved with restore-america.org, which tries to direct people to their respective coordinators in their states. So you guys got questions, we'll always be here for you. That's the best thing I could say is we may not know the answer, but damn it, I'll look it up if I have to. And I'll try to help you. I yield.
May I?
Destry, again, I got one more thing. I got to go here, but I want to drop something here. I'm not going to reveal how we're going to do it, but our Alaska Covenant, it's been on our website for a few years. Anybody can go there and read it at alaskadj.org. It's a bare bones covenant. We're seeing to it that it's going to be on the 2028 ballot for the Alaskan people to vote on. And I'll just leave that sit there like that. If you understand the ramifications of that, that's going to set one hell of an example for the rest of the states. I yield and I got to go.
Oh, you got one more minute? One more minute? You wanted him to, Bonnie? Dang
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to know, do y'all feel that the Constitution as it is written should stay exactly as it is? I mean, okay, maybe it's all the amendments and laws that have been added to it. Does that take away the original purpose of it?
All right. This is what we did years ago. It's published. You could actually find it on nosaranews.blogspot.com. And I think I've got it in the National Assembly forums. We actually, interim, restored the original 13 articles, including that original Title of Nobilities Act.
Mm-hmm.
All amendments afterward are null and void, because that was done after the Our Republican form was vacated. The corporation did all that. It's gone. 14th on up, including that slavery 13th. That's gone.
Does that go for the states also?
That's up to the state assemblies. This is why we're doing a covenant for Alaska.
Okay.
That's going to be entirely up to your state. You got to have a state convention. The people go through it, add things, take away things, change things, modify it, throw it in the trash can, adopt a covenant, whatever your state chooses to do. I yield.
I really appreciate you coming up tonight, Destry. Very
Thank you.
informative.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I yield.
All right.
Thank
Have
you,
a good
Destry, for
night.
coming on.
I got to go. I got company.
Good night. Good night.
Take care,
Have a
brother.
good-
God bless.
Good night.
Please come again.
Yes.
So did you guys make sure to bring your pens and paper tonight? Because we just gave you like an encyclopedia here, folks.
I've been trying to get notes of all of it, but I'm sure I
I know.
missed
I know.
May I?
Yeah.
You have this video. It can be rewatched a lot of times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yield.
No.
That's true. Dad, good to see you. Wow. Okay, that ought to give everybody a lot of homework.
Yeah, it's there's not anything new. It's not sensational. It's not what's popular or trending. That's for sure. It's not the stuff that Benny Johnson's talking about. That's for sure, right?
Right. Good night, Rip Hill. God bless
I got to go feed some critters. I'll be back in a bit.
you. Okay.
May I?
Definitely do. Go ahead, Lynn.
Yes, please.
This is Lynn in California. My question was that there was a website that Destry had mentioned, but I didn't quite catch it. Not national site, but something else, I thought. Could you guys repeat
NESARA?
that, please?
I think it was NESARA.blogspot.news. I can look it up and get it for you later. But you'll notice the
Thanks.
old NESARA stuff from the 90s and early 2000s actually mirrors the requisitions. That's why I said, if you folks want to get an idea what the requisitions are, you might want to take a look at what NESARA was back in the day, because there were two different NESARA efforts. That's something folks get into, and they get into the weeds, and they're like, oh, well, the NESARA was never approved, this, that, and the other. It's like, are you sure? Because you're seeing some of the stuff come out, and it's like, yeah, I'm not a fan of cryptocurrency, but having a type of digital currency that isn't, basically it's not going to be tied to your social credit score, but it's going to be a digital currency. Yeah, that rainbow currency stuff is in development, but how solid is it? Can I say I know everything about it right this second? No, but incrementally it's popping up, which means somebody's pushing for it. So that there's some fuel for thought there. I yield.
I'm just not so sure that's a good idea. It
could be abused.
Yes, again, it all seems connected. I've seen the push for wearables. I think it was RFK Jr. that was saying he wanted to see everyone in wearables in the next year or two. There's a lot of things connected to that in the AI that I think we're heading on a slippery slope that I'm not wearing it. Just saying.
If I may, I'm kind of with you on the trackables and the wearables. Now, what I want to posit, though, remember, our republic is supposed to be designed for a religious and upright and moral people. And then it'll be, a great republic. If we have a bunch of degenerates like the Bidens or the Harrises, in office, you saw what you get with that. Now imagine if they have all that electronic tech, it would be so much worse. However, if you have good people in charge, remember in the 50s and 60s, we had the space age cities and the Jetsons and all that. That was,
Yeah.
yeah, you could say it was propaganda, but people back then actually believed, yeah, we're going to be traveling the stars. We're going to have, different types of, technologies and hover cars and this and that. We can have that if there are good people in charge, because we will be allowed to develop our technologies to their full extent. I'm not saying, you want to have cyborgs plugged into the internet and they go rogue with AI like in Terminator. But, if you need like a mechanical arm that extends because you're an amputee, and it extends across the room and gets you something off a shelf, and you're using nanotech, that could be something that wouldn't be, harmful, as long as that nanotech doesn't override your brain, and override your soul. So that's that balance where scientists need to have a code of ethics. And we're seeing, like with big pharma and big tech, a lot of them don't have ethics because they're not Christians. If you notice, a lot of them come out of either alternative Far East religions or out of satanic Luciferian religions, with atheism as a cover. If you have moral Christian people who say, hey, I have this formula, I can make a vaccine that will cure cancer or whatever disease, or, I'm using a hypothetical here, so don't kill me on the semantics. They can make that vaccine and it cures whatever disease and the people are good. Or they say, well, how am I going to make a profit? And so they make it where it doesn't cure it and people have to come back for more doses. Or even worse, they create a disease and then they create the vaccine and then they, keep jabbing people as they get them sicker and sicker and get them hooked on other medicines, as we're seeing with something that happened back there in 2020. I wonder what that was. So that's the thing with science. Science is our tool, Bonnie, and it's a tool that God gives us to, we can discover the universe and find the insights into God, or we can use it to blaspheme God. I mean, it's amazing. You can take a microscope and see, what they refer to it as a golden ratio or whatever, but where you see the patterns and everything, and from flowers to, cells to atoms to, minerals, like everything has certain formulas that repeat and certain numbers that repeat, as if there's a grand design, including, markers that are on our DNA, as if God touched our very DNA. But then you'd have someone who's evil and takes that same knowledge and he's like, I see this DNA. It's proof that there's the magnesium flash when a baby embryo is created from the union of male and female. They have that magnesium flash and, the spark of life, right? The flash of light. What a glorious thing that it happens. Someone else sees it and says, oh, that's a chemical reaction. I hate it. I hate the human race. I want it where I'm going to create a formula, an enzyme or something where that spark never happens. And those two cells joining together to create a new baby never happens. And they use their science for evil. So we have to not only assemble, we do have that other side of the issue, is to get the people to be spiritual and godly, and also seeking God and seeking Jesus Christ. To quote an old patriot, John Quaid, who used to be out in Palmdale, California many years ago, he used to say you could go into the courthouse with a Bible in one hand and the Constitution in the other, and you'd be okay. So we at the National Assembly, we encourage you guys, take your Bible, read it and study it, and you're going to see that the Constitution and the organic Constitution and that Bible, they coalesce. Like one's like the front cover and one's like the back cover. And we, the people, are right in the middle. If we can balance those two books or those two documents, however you want to look at it, we're going to be doing good. But we got to get us back to those two documents. I'm going to go ahead and yield because I realize I sound all raspy voiced.
Well, and I agree, technology can be used for the good, but at the same time, what you were explaining first with the vaccines or whatever, so it's building a dependency. So technology could also be used to build a dependency on it. Like you were saying, if you can reach across the room and grab something, but is that truly helpful for us as humans who need to be moving as much as we can around instead of sitting and grabbing what we can from a distance? I feel that we are getting further away from what our bodies need instead of or I just feel that we're getting further away from that part of living life.
Well, that's correct too. We are good. People are going to what they want. Hostess Twinkies at a convenience. Uh, fizzy soda with 30 different additives. Uh, you know, Pop culture into the brain versus opening a thick book. I haven't read War and Peace. I like to have time to read it. Yes. Will I read it one day? Maybe. But just because it's a challenge, because it's such a large book, how many people actually have that on their bucket list? To read one of the longest books known in Western civilization. Uh,
Yeah.
that yeah, maybe I'm a little bit of a nerd, but that's a thing, is that we as a people, we're dedicating our time to like popcorn instead of oatmeal, or instead of having actual oatmeal is the term I'm looking for. We should be eating oatmeal, and instead we're eating Rice Krispies.
Right.
So we the people have got to get back to being oatmeal, and that's not a reference to the Quaker dude. That's a whole other tangent for another day. I yield.
Definitely. And we've seen what the frequencies and energies do. And so I just feel that we can't lose that tether to the earth as well.
No, I agree with that. Not to get too much into it, but myself and Vex have discussed alternative technologies and some of this stuff sometimes. And you really do think, is our taxpayer dollars really going to the best research and development? And it's often not. It's going towards military. I'm hearing an echo.
That's through Bonnie's.
Oops,
Oh.
I'll mute.
Okay, Bonnie. But we're finding that, we the people's money, instead of going towards things that promote life, we're going into things that promote the cessation of life, absolute death, and mega death. And it's very fitting, that they turned the Department of Defense into the Department of War again, because that's just one of the little psyops that was done before World War II to, the American people, we're so, we're never going to attack anybody. We're the Department of Defense. But in reality, they were always the War Department. And now they're back to being what they are, so people know who and what they're dealing with. So little increments of shining light on this government like that is a really good thing. And I'm not throwing any veterans under the bus, or anyone else who's been through boot camp and been through MOS training and all that. But I'm going to put this out there. The republic the founders had in mind was built on having militias, not on a permanent military. We addressed that with the Third Amendment discussion a couple weeks back. And that's how you create a national debt, is by having an oversized military that requires to be housed, to be fed, and the technology that goes with it and the logistics that go with it. And, that was part of the reason why we discussed that Third Amendment. So I'm not saying that we got to decrease our military, but Trump's doing the right thing when he is saying other nations at least need to defend themselves, because we're not going to be there doing for them anymore. And you know what? That money saved, maybe that can go into our technologies, which extend life, or at least guarantee everyone has a comfortable retirement, or perhaps, goes into building up your cities to where we have roads like the Autobahn that'll last for over 80 years instead of having potholes every year and having them blocked off, to be re-asphalted just because the city council wants to make the road guys look like they're busy. I yield.
Or we could use part of that money to get everybody healthy again on supplements and actually eating foods and vegetables and stuff like that that actually give you nutrients instead of what we have in, well, I'll just say every store in America that gives us zero nutrition. Now, if that would happen, the reason why I say that is because, quite frankly, the amount of nutrients in your body and the way you're able to feed your cells helps with how you think and act and feel. If you have, let's say, a cell that needs a certain combination of vitamins or minerals to work properly and does not get them, it's going to malfunction and become other things like cancer and diabetes and this, that, and the next thing. So that's the reason why I say it. If we get ourselves healthy, we'll think a lot clearer. There'll be a lot less mental, we'll just call it blockage. And
Absolutely.
there's my little mini rant. I yield.
I agree with you, Vex. And that's why I think a lot of people are turning to growing. I think a lot of us found this community looking for how to be prepared to be self-sufficient in whatever form that could be. And so to further that is exactly what Sean just said. Good food, good life.
May I?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Bonnie. I want to continue this comment and this thread because the other day I had a person come into my mall, and we have a Kroger or a Ralph's, as it's called in California, and they were shopping around. They were looking for actual walnuts, almonds, actual. Remember you go to your produce department, you could take a bag and actually load a pound of shelled walnuts or shelled peanuts or whatever, and get fresh nuts. There's proteins, there's natural oils, phytosterols, all kinds of minerals and vitamins that are in natural grains and nuts that when you get them raw, and then you take them home, and whether you make them into peanut butter or make them into shavings to put into the top of a cake or whatever you're doing, they're much better than that stuff that sits on the shelf from Planters. Philip Morris, by the way, cigarette company, that has salt and greases and preservatives, inside that plastic lining of those cans. You look around and you realize, wow, Ralph's isn't carrying in this particular upscale fresh fare produce department. They're not carrying peanuts, walnuts, almonds, macadamias, none of it for the people who want to just buy it, make it at home, and maybe garnish their salads with it and so on. And so I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, miss, I got to send you somewhere else. I don't see this here in the store. So maybe check these other, shops around Riverside, etc. And I get to thinking, yeah, these bigger grocery stores, folks, they're not going to be trying to encourage us to eat healthy because, again, pointing at Kroger, I'm putting the big shame on them. About a couple of years ago, all their Kroger product that I used to buy because, hey, it's good as the national brand, but a little cheaper. Well, that sure changed overnight, and suddenly everything was containing bioengineered ingredients. No joke. And so I would compare labels. It's like, wait, the national brand is still giving you what's on the label, but like Kroger, no kidding, folks, they even managed to make bioengineered cornflakes and bioengineered Rice Krispie knockoffs. And by the way, Kellogg has bioengineered Rice Krispie. How you bioengineer rice, though? It's like such a basic ingredient, but they've done it. Point being is these folks. So what's that, Vex?
I was going to say you enrich it. Look for those words on your food.
Yeah, enriched protein powder, aka crickets, right? Or mealworms. Did I say that out loud? I might have. The point that I look at is, okay, well, these folks are, messing with the food supply because they're owned by the same companies that own Big Pharma. So what's my plan? oh, hey, I know somebody in my assembly in Northern California, for example, who, if I need a salve, I can get a hold of them and order that through them. And it's organic. And by the way, I might be doing that order soon. Hint, cough, hint. But, I also know, there's other parties I know in our assembly, for example, they have their own, uh, what do you call it? They have their own eggs from their own laying hens. So I have access to that. I know if somebody else, they can get me, access to raw milk and so on and so forth. It'd be like, you guys don't realize that we, the people, we can become our own network and our own uh, side economy. We can ditch these people. We just have to do it. We have to say, hey, neighbor, I know you have fresh lemon trees and avocado trees in your yard, and you invited me to come by and fill up a grocery bag full. And come by and fill up 2 grocery bags? Sure. Awesome. And sure enough, that happens. So that's something we as a people have to do, is like, we got to rely on each other and not these box stores and not these, again, these popcorn, pop culture, willing dilling. I can't even look at grocery stores, having been someone who worked in retail. It's like I go into a grocery store and it's like I already know the dirty secrets because I was the guy that would fix up my store's nastiness. I was the guy that would have to clean up the ice cream counter, and oh my gosh, there's a rodent coming out of the drain pipe. What the hell are we going to do? Well, it's simple. We're going to put some traps there and kill them before weights and measures and all those people come through. Remember, I worked at Rite Aid, folks. You'd be surprised what goes on in a Rite Aid, and that's because we had the thrifty ice cream, fresh ice cream. Oh wait, ice cream cone crumbs on the floor. Guess what? That's how you get your rodents. So yeah, long story short, ladies and gents, you want to have a place where you're sure you ain't got rodents messing around with your food, or you ain't got fake chemicals in your food. It's got to be from people you trust, which means it's got to be people you know. And who are you going to know more than your neighbors or the people that are in your assembly? Sorry, big rant, big idea, but I hope you guys appreciate it. I yield.
I agree with what you just said. And I have a question. What is the NESARA that y'all keep referring to? Please.
Ooh. It's an acronym for starters. National Economic, I think it was like something like Security and Recovery Act. Let me, I'd have to Google it to pull it up. That's actually an area Destry is exceptionally well versed in, for lack of a better way of putting it. But what happened is there was a Farm Recovery Bill Act, I want to say from the 80s, where they were taking money from the budget and actually giving it back to the farmers so it could go back to the people. And there was supposedly it was supposed to be signed into law and it was stopped. And there's another thing where it was done as an executive order. And some are saying, no, the executive order never was signed. Some are saying, yeah, it was. Someone like a certain fellow up in Idaho says it wasn't signed because the bar attorneys have told him it wasn't. And it's like, that's the one. There's some lady is like the expert on that one. And it's like, yeah, that's the one that wasn't signed. The one that actually was signed and has been kept kind of squelched. You had essentially, well, people have heard snippets of it, so I don't think it's a big secret. But let's just say you had certain Navy SEALs standing next to Bill Clinton while it was signed, and you can guess what was under their coats while they were standing around Bill Clinton. So we've had patriots of the military for many years, making sure that these commander-in-chiefs sometimes do what they're supposed to do. Julius Caesar had the Praetorian Guard. The president, the commander-in-chief, has the Marines and the Navy. Remember, those were created before the Constitution and before the Declaration of Independence. So as functioning bodies, they're very tight with the commander-in-chief is the best way I can put it. Or another good example, one of the biggest whistleblowers of all time, with just a little dash of disinfo tossed in, was a former naval intelligence guy, William Cooper. And love them or hate them, Cooper put a lot of information out because the Navy, again, the military being guardians of the Republic, I'd put the Navy and the Marines up near the top. Unfortunately, this means other foreign governments and interests have tried to infiltrate those agencies as well. And there are operatives going back and forth. So you got to watch out for the information with the, I'll pull up, if you don't mind, maybe I'll drop from the panel. I'll pull up Destry's website he referenced so you guys can check it out. And then you can later cross-check it with the National Assembly site's requisitions, and you'll see what I'm talking about with the overlap. But let me go pull that up. Vex or Lynn or whatever, or D, Bonnie, Watt, Jen, I'll be back like in, give me about 2 minutes. I got to pull up the URL. So if it disconnects me, I apologize, but first world problem. Be right back.
So it has nothing to do with the Nasara Jasara everyone's been talking about for years.
Now,
May I?
Yes, please.
No, go ahead. If that's you, Vex, I'll yield to you. This is Lynn. I'll come back. I yield.
I wasn't going to say anything major. Just that I don't know much about Nasara and Nasara versus Nasara Jasara. I haven't actually looked into it, so I feel kind of bad about it. I'm going to have to look into it myself. I yield.
May I?
Go ahead, Lynn.
This is Lynn again. It's interesting of Nasara Jasara, what I have just picked up on from, being part of assembly and listening to it was that it was repayments that were, due back to the people. And I don't know the logistics, as you said, back. I haven't looked into like what the foundation of all those funds are, where they're from, and how it's divided. But it was my understanding that it would go into an effective repayment cycle or divvying out cycle once the world was in peace. And I find that all of these brokerings of peace that, our president, that Trump has really brought forth, it's kind of seems like it's lining up, right? So, but I don't go there thinking, oh, we're going to be getting this, repayment of our dollars. It's my understanding, just on the surface, that it's dollars that have been, our taxes, or as they are taking our money, calling it, how they're taxing us. Those are the dollars that's supposed to come back. I know Sean will have an explanation that will make sense. So I would love to, dive further into some research myself, which I will have to do. The other comments that I kind of wanted to touch base on, when we were talking about, it's the foods and what we're eating and what we've been, given and fed, and the changes of our foods, just over decades. And I think there's a singular practice. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. There's a singular practice that I have familiarized myself with, probably because of working in, my profession. And it's medicine that is 5,000 years old, and they refer to it as Ayurvedic medicine, right? And it's basically, foundationally, it comes, from India, but it is the roots of really the earth, right? The root of medicine and the root of food is everything that's connected to our earth that we are all made up of. And if and when we understand, and this is something that I think should be taught to the kids in school or when you're homeschooling, like, this is dietary, this is science together. what you are made up of in your body. They call it your constitution, right? You have air as an element. This is the practice of Ayurveda. They believe there's three. There's three things. Vata is air and space. Then there's heat, right? The element of fire and the earth, which is known as a pitta constitution. I'm talking about like what we're made up of. And then there's another one called kapha, which is more the earth and water. But there are certain foods very specific that if you know your constitution, and there are, like a 12 question way of figuring it out, you will better resist disease and other ailments and conditions if you are eating to what your Ayurvedic body type is. And that's pretty huge, because if you look at other cultures that practice this, they don't have cancers. They don't have the rates of them, the same with heart disease. Everything is much lower. And, we've got RFK looking at taking out great food colorings and dyes, and how much of that is going to happen, and how do we know, right, as the people, this is happening. I think these are all very important things. We talk about infrastructure, right, for our states across the board, but we also need to really be focused in on the health and the wellness, because I don't know who we've appointed and who we are electing when they say that they're focusing on this, to what degree. So I think it's pretty fascinating that there's a lot we're going to be able to do.
Yes.
A lot. I yield.
Very informative one. Thank you. And so I think Destry mentioned earlier that it's we're 3 trillion or something in debt, and that it would be the repayment of that debt is not the people's, it's the government's, I guess.
Corporation, probably the corporation.
Yes, the corporation. And
May I?
yes, please.
Yeah, I dropped the link in the comments, so that you're going to see some material that's a little bit older, and it goes back a ways. So get your rabbit hole flashlights ready, right? Going with the debt you're talking about, that's very vital right there, Bonnie. We the people not all signed on to that constitution that the founders were essentially trying to use to transfer their debt, onto the people of this nation. So, we have a 32 trillion dollar debt, but did we the people create that debt, or did our public officials who swore to the Constitution keep making bad decisions that put us, not us at the people, but the people running that government, they're the ones who are the decision makers, the shot callers. So they have a responsibility for bad decisions. And also, again, did they ask us for our consent? They're saying, oh, well, we voted them in. We did not vote them in to commit treason, because they are putting us into bondage and slavery whenever they add more debt to us. Whoever has debt is a slave. Whoever has credit is a master. And that is why certain interests in the world keep wanting to have the only credit and loan everyone else debt, so they can prop themselves as the masters of the world. And just so you guys understand, with the what do they call those, derivatives, between derivatives and put options and all this nonsense they've flooded our stock markets with, we are looking like I've heard as high as quadrillions of debt that exist on paper. But are they actual real tangible items? Very early in the chat earlier, Schmidt or one of the other of our great commenters had pointed out, we don't have that much gold and silver in existence to pay off those debts. Exactly, because they did inflation, quantitative easing, fiat currency, you name it. They created more money out of thin air, and inflated the money supply and what there is actually physically in existence. So that's their decision. You can pay that off. People operate on their own systems, their own governance. Like,
Hold on, Sean. You're roboting.
Uh-oh.
All right. You sound
How
clear
about
now.
now?
Start over.
Where did I robot at or cut off?
I'd say the last.
Resistance. He
No,
said
go
something
ahead.
about resistance, didn't he? Your last couple
Well,
sentences.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is we can create our own system. We're de jure, and when they come and say, "Hey, you owe us all this money," we're going to be like, "Who are you? Go away." Part of the original 13th Amendment, it wasn't just that it barred the titles of nobility, like the nephew of Napoleon from becoming a politician here in our country because the Pope had recognized Napoleon as an emperor. But folks, if you come over across the ocean and say, "I'm the King of England," or "I'm the Prince of England," or "I'm an Esquire," well, that Titles of Nobility Act, that original 13th Amendment, that would be like, who are you to claim such a mess with us? Go away. Leave us alone. So there's different advantages to enforcing that original Constitution, or that organic Constitution, before the Civil War kicked in. And yes, that original 13th Amendment, I know I'm going to piss off the bar, but I found out it existed. Bye, bar. Bye. Oh, and by the way, Donald, to enforce that. You guys notice the American Bar Association lost their USAID funding? Darn. Such a shame. Just saying. I yield.
Yes. And so so back to the military and the cost of our military going to wars and going to these other countries to police for them. So the original purpose of the military was to protect the homeland and to be ready, willing, and able when needed if there was an attack on our land. Is that correct?
At the early days of the Republic, this will blow people's minds. Between the 13 colonies, we had less than it was less than 7,000 troops that were in the federal level army. That was the militias. In fact, I gotta go look that up again and dig up that number. But again, I was made aware of a PDF I have saved away on a memory card, and it was essentially a very, let's just say, informative document from one of the federal government employees. It's a position that I will say is between the president and the military, and that they would line up their budgets every 2 years. Congress votes for the Army's budget and how many troops and regiments and battalions and what they're going to be equipped with, and so on and so forth. When you hear about the continuing resolutions in the modern era, or the renewal of emergency authorization acts, or national defense authorization acts, that's kind of in the tradition of what Congress used to do. But Congress used to do it in 2 years, and then they would vote again. Hey, do we need this money for this war effort? So on and so forth. Well, what they quit doing eventually is they just created these national defense authorization acts that were blank checks. And that in itself is them abdicating their power to the president. They're not supposed to be doing that. Going backwards in time, between 13 colonies, basically imagine the East Coast all the way down to Florida, which Florida fluctuated a little while until eventually we did get a hold of it. But Florida rotated between the Spanish, the British, and back to the Spanish, etc. Just imagine in your head that whole East Coast being defended by only 7,000 or so people, and I think I'm actually highballing the number. It might have been less. Basically, the drill instructors and the officer corps were the only people they kept. All the enlisted, the sergeants, corporals, privates, all that, they all got to go home back to their lands. And a bigger thing back then was if you honorably served your contract, and you got an honorable discharge after the Revolutionary War, and this continued up to the War of 1812, you would get a parcel of land instead of these little medals, these little trinkets they put on your chest. Even bigger deal was it was 80 acres. So when I hear someone complain about 40 acres and a mule, I'll be like, how about we argue for our veterans what they should be getting first before I hear about your 40 acres and a mule, if you get my reference.
Here, here.
So yeah, we used to treat our veterans really good. And now look how we treat them. So you see, when people are like, wow, Sean's talking terrible about the military industrial complex. Yeah, but I also know how good we used to treat our veterans. And this way, you actually had a military industrial complex that worked for we the people. So that if you did join, hey, maybe you were disabled, but you had an actual big old farm and you could have, your sons could go and till the land for you while you taught them, what seasons to grow the apples or to grow the potatoes or whatever. They don't do that anymore. Instead, they say, here's some pain pills and welcome to your alley, with a newspaper. And, oh, your pain's too much. How about you try this fentanyl? Wink, wink. So yeah, we've completely, we've changed into something in that regard that we need to go back to what we the people used to do. And if I keep going, I'm going to rant for like another half hour about it. So I'm going to cut myself off on purpose because I know you guys probably have heard about that too, that you are aware that they're making our veterans into addicts versus letting them be scholars, warriors, scholars.
Robot.
So I'm going to yield real quick. Yep.
And I agree absolutely. The veterans should come first with that. I mean, look at just imagine what they would do with it. Even.
May I? May I?
Yes, please.
Yes, go ahead, Vex. I'm reading what Navy vet said. The man is well studied. I appreciate it.
I just wanted to say thank you for having me up and everything. I have to go and get some sleep so I can get up in the morning. Thank you all for your all the chat participation. That was awesome. I love coming to this place.
Thank you so much, Vex. I always appreciate when you come up too.
All right, you all take care and look out for each other.
You too. Have a good evening.
Good night.
God bless you.
Good night. Wow.
We blow your mind with any of this knowledge tonight, folks?
Yes. And what Navy vet just said, that is amazing.
Huh? There were situations for those allotments, yes. You would be George Washington's estate, I think also Jefferson, they originally they believe theirs for Virginia should have gone all the way to the West Coast at one point. And the founders were like, guys, we want the people to be able to expand across this country. You guys say you owe all that land. They're not going to want to fight for you. I mean, yeah, there is some stuff. Let me see here what Chessboard said. Yeah, Virginia Company did that for the king and got promised free land. Yes, they did. Yeah. There is so much that if the American people only knew, I only know like a smidgen, and I consider myself like it's a weird thing. I always view myself as like the bottom barrel knowledge and stuff. And that's not to be mean to anybody else. We all know different things and stuff, but it's like, I feel like I still have so much more to learn and to apply. And there are people who they don't even want to learn the bare minimum. And I'm looking at them like, if you knew the bare minimum, you'd be able to talk your way out of, like, I've dealt with police officers because I tend to, bicycle through town, and I'll be wearing a black security jacket at night until they get up on me. They don't see that I'm a security guard, but they stop me anyway. Maybe I'm like some guy impersonating a guard, right? They run my stuff through, and I just talk with them, and I just use the legalese back at them, and they suddenly realize, oh, not only is this guy also a guard, but he's not to be trifled with because he just put us in check verbally without, insulting them. But I use the terminology, again, knowing that a weapon means you have criminal intent. Officer, I have tools for my work. I do not carry weapons. See how simple statement like that. I have tools for my work. I do not carry weapons. Boom.
Yeah.
It's
Tools.
get this, Bonnie. Destry, if we had him on longer, he could break down all the different terms for arms, firearms, sidearms, long arms, just like every type, guns, pistols, rifles. It's, the Second Amendment, remember it says arms. That's what it comes down to, period. Shall not infringe. Doesn't matter if what they try to do is by saying the arms are now firearms, the arms are now long arms, the arms are now sidearms. They're guns. Guns, by the way, refers to cannons on ships, ladies and gentlemen. Do you own a gun? Actually, you should be able to. The come and take it flag was a picture of a cannon. You should be able to own a gun. But in reality, if you say you own a gun and you have a pistol in your hand, in the popular parlance, sure, you own a wink gun, but you actually are incorrect in the eyes of a judge once with the correct interpretation, which is a naval cannon. So you see, folks, these legally speaking bastards, he's perjuring himself because he doesn't know what a gun really is. I can actually mess with him now because I already know he doesn't, have a full knowledge of the law and our verbal tricks. So, just knowing this stuff to at least talk yourself, Vex has gone away. Vex has talked himself out of tickets in court, just because he studied a little. That's one of the things I bring up with him. He probably hates that I bring it up a lot, but he's actually had success at it. So it's like just over, but it's good to at least enough to protect yourself and maybe pass it on to your kids so they can protect themselves. Being skeptical about this government from an LDS upbringing. Hey, I may not agree with the LDS Church and the Masonic elements and other issues going on in it, but you know what? At least the older LDS folks that taught the alternative history of the U.S. Thank you for teaching me all this shady stuff the government was doing over these centuries. It's amazing how God works in mysterious ways, huh?
Yes. You never know who the messenger's going to be.
Prep 101. That's hilarious. I should have gotten 1,000 acres for letting my mother-in-law move in with me. I truly sacrificed for my country.
No.
That's terrible. That's terrible, but hilarious. Oh boy.
He's always got mother-in-law jokes.
Well, Al Bundy has good one there. I heard a wise man once say, "Why drink and drive when you can smoke and fly?" The problem isn't the flying; it's the landing, especially if it's crash landing.
True.
That's like that Jordan Peterson drinking song. That's pretty funny. In the middle of it, he's like, "You're flying, man. The landing's not so good, Yeah.
Hey, Virginia, good to see you.
That's a good album. Hey, Rich.
Virginia missed all the highlights.
Yeah.
Actually,
She's pretty up to speed on most of the stuff. She grew up that LDS too, so
He fell out again.
I haven't seen Scrimshaw in a while. It's good to see you, Scrimshaw.
LG, good to see you.
There you
sorry
are.
about that.
No problem.
Mhm.
Yeah, I figured I better get back in here before that that reboot, gets too long. But yeah, welcome Virginia Roots, and I'm just I'm trying to go through our comments. We've had a lot of good, again, good commentary and good thoughts and everything in here tonight, guys.
Oh, I know. I love the participation and knowledge that comes from the chat also. Good questions that have been asked, and really appreciate Lynn coming up. It's first time to meet her, and
Mm-hmm.
May I?
yes, please.
Well, this is Lynn again. I do really appreciate that invite, Sean, and also Bonnie and Dee, for your platform, your chat here. I have not been on StreamYard before, so I'm kind of learning this is a little different, as it may be, maybe not so different for everybody else who's been on it, but I did not understand, honestly, that the link, Sean, you shared puts me into the panel rather than how does everybody else then come in and they're just part of the chat. So somebody please explain this to me, because I have no idea. This is all new to me. I appreciate that. I yield.
Oh, I posted the YouTube and the StreamYard, so you can watch on YouTube, and then StreamYard is this panel.
Right. But you forgot to put that on top of each link for her, Sean, to say this one gets you into the show and this one gets, like when I used to send it to you, I would say this one is for the YouTube show. This one is for you to get on panel. But it's okay. Sean's pretty dedicated with the training links and everything. So you get a pass, Sean, in my book. He gets a pass.
Well, I'm glad she came up on panel.
Me too. Yeah.
You heard from her. And yes, anytime that you want to join the YouTube link, then you can just speak in chat and you don't have to be up on the panel.
Well, I thank you all. Thank you so much. I yield. I am going to take out tonight. I'm going to head out. I appreciate all of the really amazing conversation. And this is on Mondays, is that right? Always at 7?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good.
Bonnie's on more often during the week, but she does the Constitution class on Mondays, but she does have conversations other nights of the week. It's just kind of random, but she's pretty
Tuesdays, usually whenever I throw all the stuff out there that might be concerning.
I appreciate it. So this is good to know. I am very grateful to be part of California with all these good people. So thank you again.
Yeah, what's your county, Lynn? I'm in Humboldt. What's your county?
I'm here in Orange County. So we've got dogs that vote here, and lots of other interesting things that happen. School boards that keep teachers on, that, sling about, how our president is, Nazi, blah, 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 everything else, and how ridiculous to fly a flag. A 4th grade teacher called it half-mast instead of half-staff, but she's teaching 4th grade. She was infuriated on the assassination of, Mr. Kirk, and they've kept her still employed. So, we've got a lot of scrupulous people running things in the public system, that's for sure here. So
sure.
Yes.
Well, good for you to
a lot of work.
Good fight. We'll fight it together, girlfriend. Good night.
I appreciate that. Yes, sir.
Heartland, just something else. Bonnie and Dee, something else we can also put forward. Me and Lynn did some work researching election integrity about a year and a half ago. So as we get towards the midterms, we'll bring up our findings to you guys, to just things to look at, things to consider, and things for you guys when you look at what these elections about election integrity. That's our biggest thing that we're discovering, is they're making a mockery of the elections. And that's why we got to return, again, both paper ballots and self-governance. and there'll be more coming out of that. So when you guys are ready for that, in powwow, and we put together a lot of info, put together
Yeah,
slides and
that's
stuff. So
great point. Great.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we will have to have
and
platform for that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Lele J says their son lives in Orange County and they're there all the time. So yeah, have a D or Bonnie put you in with us.
That'd be
We'll
great.
meet up and continue the education. Pick the topic. That's the thing, guys. Is if we keep information to ourselves, we're gatekeepers in the classic negative sense. If we give the information out, what you do with it, then we'll. Lynn, have a good night.
Yeah, you as well, all. God bless. Good night.
Good night. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm right behind her.
And then there were
I'm right behind her. It's been a long day, and I had my meeting too. So
Yeah, I can't believe you're
Yeah,
still
yeah.
yeah, Jen, send me your cliff notes. I'd be interested in seeing what you observed or hearing what you got out of it. Kind of, I like to compare like what the Midwest is up to, what the East Coast is up to, and what we're doing out here in the West, and of course what's going on in Texas. So like you guys know, she and Scrimshaw are good friends and all that. Scrimshaw's like got her finger on the pulse. How crazy liberals are, and it just you hear stuff out of their area, and it's like holy smokes, they don't the liberals aren't letting up out there. And then, Jen, you got your stuff going on in Wisconsin. I kind of like it's like a way of filling the pattern of the country of what they're going to try to do next. When you can kind of pinpoint what they're pushing for in each of these regions, like those No King protests this weekend, they're going to try to do some type of protest too far, and some counter protester will have a fire, or maybe off in his car, or he'll pull a gun out. They're going to make some, fake story up this weekend, guys. Don't fall for it. But again,
Yes.
let's share our knowledge. Let's share what the pulse of these folks are, both for the people and, of course, our opposition. I yield.
Yes. And that's
Yeah.
what I'm fixing to write because it's midterms. And so I get a text every day from Governor Abbott. So I'm thinking, okay, if you're going to text me every day, of course, asking for money and do you agree with this and do you agree with that? And it's always against the liberals and or the Dems, whatever. But so I was like, okay, if you can text my phone every day, then I can email you every day. And I'm going to make a list of grievances and send it to him, the legislators, and my state representative.
There we go.
Because I want all of them to know that, and I know I'm not the only one in Texas that is concerned about all of these things. And the list is long. All these new laws that they're trying to pass. And that's, if everybody would even just look at that, look at what your states have in mind for the future. Anything that they're trying to pass, anything that they're trying to slip in there in some way, because it's not just happening in DC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
If
that
I
would be
may.
something. Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
Go ahead, Bonnie, and I'll follow up. Or D, sorry. I'll follow up in a minute.
Just real quick, I was going to say that would be a good stream to do sometime to try to help people that maybe they don't know where to look or whatever, and we just show people how to start looking for legislation and stuff like that. I yield.
Yes.
Very good idea. Now, if I may, Bonnie, I want to follow up on your point about, getting a hold of Governor Abbott. Okay, so let's say you write a letter. Now, years ago, they used to say that a person writing the congressman would view that letter as being the equivalent. I wanted to say it was of 1,000 voters. But now in the age of the internet with email and spam, when they see someone actually handwrites a letter and sends it to them, the equation, I think, became 10,000 voters. They view it like that constituent who wrote them has taken the time, and that would represent like the thought of 10,000 voters, the sentiment, whatever you want to call it. Okay, cool. Now, I'm not saying that the assembly uses this math, but let's just say, how Destry pointed out earlier, you need 13 for a jury. So say a county held its jury after it held a grand jury. Those 13 people signing off and sending that document and those findings, say, to whoever in their county, symbolically, okay, 13 times 1,000 each would be 13,000 potential voters that agree on their findings. Now, let's go to the modern math. It's 10,000. Oh, that'd be 130,000 voters in that county that think about something if they're using that as their math. You see, folks, the pen really is mightier than a sword, and that's even in their de facto system. So, again, if there's a vacuum communication-wise, the lobbyists will fill the vacuum, or they'll just go along to get along. We are constantly on them. Guess what? Like a horse, we're pulling the reins. We're not letting that horse run wild. So, Bonnie, very good points about getting back to Governor Abbott and staying on top of him and pointing out, hey, if you're going to get fundraising, then you better reply to what I'm, communicating to you. I yield.
Yes. Because he doesn't, in those texts, you can't say, but wait, what about this? Or anything. It's a survey type thing. Do you agree with this? Yes or no? Well, no, I want to stop that and tell you why I feel the way I do about whatever it is.
Yep. And Jen, again, have a good night. Be safe. We'll touch base with you later as you do your farewells. And yes, Virginia roots. That might be why the Neanderthals were bred out.
Why? What'd she say?
If you're looking at the chat, they're talking about blue pills.
Oh. Mm.
Or I'm going to give them a little bit more of a politically incorrect answer. Because if you trace the genome for redheads, it looks like it came from the Neanderthals, which I honestly wonder if maybe all these prehistoric, fossils they find of, humans were maybe just different tribes of Israel. I mean, who knows? If the Neanderthal genome could red hair, then maybe the Neanderthals, because they lived in Spain and Israel the same time as Homo sapiens. That's what the big brains say. So did that mean we went to war with them as a species, or did we marry into them, which looks more likely, and they just phased out? That's kind of what I think happened. I yield.
Wow, that's a very deep question. I don't know.
Yeah. 3% Neanderthal.
Yep. Burn hair. Yep. Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, it's cool to know, but is it going to get me a pay raise, or is it going to help my fellow people, or is it going to make me sleep easier at night? I don't know about any of that, but it's cool to know it. I do like studying that. What do you call it? Anthropology and the biology that goes with it, and the archaeology, and when you like history, all that stuff eventually appeals to you. I got someone in a Discord server somewhere saying, I don't believe in dinosaurs, or I don't believe in evolution. And not in the classic sense that, these kids are mistaught it in school. Can animals get radiation exposure and their cells are altered? Perhaps, but by them making the straw man, oh, you don't believe in dinosaurs, you believe people lived at the same time as dinosaurs. Hello, what's a crocodile? What's a snow crab? What are essentially the woolly mammoth wasn't much bigger than the African elephant, if you actually do the studies on that. And they had smaller ears too, by the way. It's like there's a lot of stuff that's extinctions. The Komodo dragon down there in Indonesia. You know, that's a freaking 10-foot long lizard. Maybe it's not called a dinosaur today, but you know, I would say if it was fossilized, they'd probably say, oh, it was some type of dinosaur. You know, just a thought, guys.
Yeah. We were talking about that the other night, and that it was actually dragons. Possible.
Well, in China, they call fossils dragons. There you go, guys. You see a fossilized pterodactyl, and it looks, guess what, like a dragon. Huh. Echo says she wasn't very far off calling her ex a Neanderthal or the missing link. Well, there you go.
Yeah. It's all that.
Yeah, I've been reading about the ostriches. Apparently, they may have had an ancestor that could fly, but it wasn't. I got to read deep into it. Like you open up the tab and you know you're going to get back to it later. Because yeah, flightless birds. There used to be what was called, I think, the dromedary or whatever. It was like the velociraptor as birds. So if you think an ostrich is nasty and kicking, you know, people and lions and things around, imagine something with claws and a hooked beak doing. What a nasty animal. Are we died out? Maybe God said, you know, we got to kill these animals before mankind exists, because mankind is not going to last. Just saying.
Maybe.
I don't know. But guess we're gonna close this one up. Virginia, if you want to come up for
Yeah.
backstage, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
There's the
I got to
link.
be up at 9.
I know. Well, this weekend
I could
really
be out
threw
for
me.
another half hour.
Thanks for setting that up with Destry, Sean, and
Yes, thank
coming out.
you.
it was really cool. Really
I hope he
appreciate
comes back so we can touch on all the other things that you said he's very well versed in.
Yeah, well, basically, the Nasara blogspot, nasara.blogspot.com site that's been around forever and a day. The who basically was involved with creating that website gave it to Destry to run. So there you go,
Mhm.
guys. I mean, if that doesn't tell you Destry's up to his neck in Nasara, I don't know what does. You know.
Right. What life? You've been very quiet.
He's probably. I'm talking so much. He's probably sleeping.
No, I don't. I hope that this wasn't one to sleep through. But I appreciate all of y'all that have been on panel, all of you in chat, for everything that you have put in. Awesome to see all the different comments and ideas. Always appreciated.
Good night, everybody.
Hey, you guys have a good night. We'll hang out
Right.
backstage for a few.
Okay. We all have a good night. God bless you and stay safe out there. And we'll probably see you tomorrow night.
Semper Fi, guys.
Yeah. Good night, everyone.